Good evening. Hope that everything's well tonight. I have a last minute guest with me right now who is demanding attention. Ah, okay. And he already threatened to shut things down. Thank you for the watering. I have peppermint tea tonight. What? Oh, oh. I am hostage. Okay. My cat decided to take up his mantle in between the keyboard and the monitor, so it is a precarious position with wires. If he goes in one direction, he gets to chew on wires. If he goes the other, he's on the keyboard. He can shut things down. So I have one hand on the cat, or one hand on the mouse. Duvet. Yes. Although, I mean, it's not the default version of the song, it's the acoustic version. That is something that everyone needs to learn to sing, right? For karaoke? Mm, for yeah, for karaoke. It's one of those few songs that you can hopefully find in American karaoke joints that is an anime song, but at the same time, well, you can still sing it because it's in English. Mm. I want to say I can try some Japanese songs. I'm learning a Japanese song now, but English is easier to parse. Of course, being my first language. Let's see. I would say it's kind of surprising the amount of, or rather, I suppose like there aren't generally too many alternate versions of things out there. I remember a year ago, I think, I was looking for a cover of another song, anime song that was in English naturally. Um, and I wanted to find, I believe, a man singing something, and I don't think I was able to actually find any, which was annoying. At least not at the time. I think I was looking for Key of the Twilight, sung by a man. Because by default, the song is sung by a woman. It's a song from Dot Hack Yuki Kajiura. I thought there was supposed to be a proliferation of covers on YouTube. I guess it's only for certain things. I was surprised though that I did find. Well, the reason that I need it now is over. I wanted it for a DNC game. I wanted it as background music for something. And I didn't know very many singers back then. I still honestly don't personally know too many singers. But I was looking up another song, one from the early 90s, maybe mid 90s at most. Uh, I'm actually finding someone having done a cover of it uh, on YouTube. That one was really surprising. But I think the thing that I don't want to say annoyed me about it was that, as far as I know, they never released a karaoke version of it. So, and this person's cover was using uh, a good backing track. So it was kind of a case of like, did you use one of the standard programs to remove the vocals, or did you actually find the karaoke version? Like, does it actually exist somewhere? Because I can't really imagine that. Mm. Like, I guess it wasn't quite as standard back then in the 90s to release a karaoke track for songs, even if they were specifically made for the show. Oh, something got Something got my guest's attention. Mm, yes, I woke up 15 minutes before stream again. Time is meaningless. What? Come on. I just managed to take care of some things before this. I know I can't push it back any later than stream time. Mm. Actually, thinking about all the songs that I've been learning, one of them doesn't have a backing track at all, and another one at least does. Mm. And the third one is also going to be something. Fourth one is also going to be something that is not going to have a backing track easily findable, as far as I know. I'll have to make one. Mhm. Let's see. I guess another problem with that is that I was told to find a faster track in English than what I've been singing previously. And looking through all the music that I currently have, it I want to say a lot of the songs for women that I listen to, or like songs with female voices, are I think they're fast, but they're not. For instance, they came out with the lyrics for the Final Fantasy 14 rating song for the latest raid series, Scream, and thinking like, oh, that one's kind of fast, right? And then actually listening to it, she doesn't sing that fast. It's kind of that's probably not going to be enough. Not going to be enough. And then thinking about all the other songs from that series, and there's only one that's actually kind of fast. It's probably just because it's a very timed song to raid movements. Versus there's a song called "What Angel Wakes Me," and that one is actually I think so fast that I don't know if it's possible to sing it properly in real life because of the gaps between the verses, but maybe that's just my inexperience. But if I go with an alternate version, like the piano version, it becomes more human singable because that one was actually sung live by a performer. But because it was sung live by a performer and the piano was also live at the time, there is no karaoke version, so it will just be a case of having to strip it if I want to sing it. Or just sing it a cappella, I guess. But yeah, a lot of the other songs I've listened to in English are not particularly fast. Mhm. Honored's Arcana. So we were looking through this before. We covered the Bard. What we didn't cover. We were partway through Ranger. We were partway through Ranger. I remember getting up to Roving because that was something that was introduced with Tasha's as an option. And that was about it. That was about it. Let me double check something. I remember this cat let me do this. This cat let me do this. But I just maybe sometimes when I'm speaking now, it's lost by my not limiter noise. I think it's not lost by the noise control. Tasha's. It was the Ranger Optional class features. It was... They got roving at 6, and their walk speed increased by 5. And they gain climbing speed and swimming speed equal to their walking speed. Which is... They got a buff with this, except at 7th level. At 7th level. It's been pretty standard that they get feats at 8th, though. And expertise. So they got expertise already, didn't they? Or did they not? No, they didn't. So, actually, real quick. I'm gonna zoom this out a little bit, too. A little bit. Hopefully it's still kind of... It's a very annoying size, this file. So I, like, make it that. In which case... I just... Oop. I can't use this exactly because it's a really messed up one. So I don't think I need any. Oh, why I put in such a heavy bottom cutoff when it's only a couple pixels. And why I put in such a heavy one at the time. But yeah, it looks like they've given expertise to all the expert classes, which I understand. I think Bard and Rogue, well, Rogue at least got that anyway. And Rogue is kind of the classic case here. If I do this, actually, it's not going quite as nicely read. It's good. So they got expertise at 9th as a ranger. When do they get it as a bard? Actually, it will say on here, won't it? They get expertise at 9th. Did they get another expertise? They got an expertise at 2 as well. Okay, so they got expertise twice as a bard. Or here, they get expertise at 1st and 9th. Just thinking, like, dipping into a ranger for extra expertise, theoretically. Or maybe for multi-classing. Especially because the capstone has moved. I guess the epic boon, though. And I suppose the fact that everyone gets to pick an epic boon and it's not class dependent. That's what happens. So let's... Subclass feature at 10th, tireless at 11th. Temporary hit points, right? And they get to decrease exhaustion. But I feel like a lot of people don't really play with exhaustion. They kind of skip over it. Another feat, or ASI. Hiding is a bonus action the expense of a spell slot. A spell slot for becoming invisible to the end of your next turn as a bonus action. Real quick, I'm gonna take a look. So Ranger was able to pick up spells as long as they were primal and not evocation. Is invisibility on there? And also what level do they get up to? They get up to 5th. So what level is invisibility? What class is invisibility? Is invisibility on the primal list? I believe the last one is primal. Okay. So I can just invis Visibility. Visibility is the second. Is invisibility only on arcane? Okay. So the ranger cannot become invisible otherwise. Except unless they're blessed by an arcane caster. Okay. Okay. But yeah, like a spell slot for until the end of your next turn seems very expensive. At the same time, I feel like a lot of rangers didn't really feel like they had a huge use for their spell slots anyway, but maybe that was also because they were at the time like hunter's marking, concentrating, and a lot of the other juicy spells were also concentration, so they felt kind of locked there. I think another one that I saw get use was rope trick. Can't hear me like messing with this cat. He's on my arm, just resting. Actually, it's a little gross because it's like I can feel him breathing on my hands. Okay. Mm, kind of, it's kind of gross to feel like things breathing on you, isn't it? I hate that feeling so much. Ugh. The cat only gets away with it because he's cute and fuzzy. You don't mind it if it's animals? Mm. I want to say you don't mind it when it's small animals, like cute fuzzy animals. What if it were a wolf? Would you mind it then? What if it were a very, very large cat? Like a tiger or something? Would you like it then, you think? Or even an herbivore or something, like think about a giraffe breathing on you. Or mm, thinking about, okay, let's say something smaller than a giraffe. Ah, just thinking about, oh wait, I guess a lot of creatures after a certain point are just so easily able to kill humans. Thinking about what's available. Like a horse? No, they can still be threatening in their own way. They can kill a person with a kick. Golden retriever naps on your legs. That reminds me of an image I saw of some people working at, I believe, a grindstone, and they had a dog to keep their legs warm at the time. Would I still love my animal companion if it was a swarm of bees? Personally, like what kind of bees are we talking about here? If it were a swarm of like honeybees or bumblebees, I would probably be kind of grossed out by them personally, but I think I could accept it with time as long as they kept a couple. Okay, if they're like, how do the swarms usually work? I think they would have to keep like a foot away from me at all times at least. I don't know if I could have them like on me, honestly. Maybe over time. But if it's like more waspy type things, nope, 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 nope. And as far as I know, like bumblebees and honeybees are not particularly dangerous. So I don't know if they'd be very useful for a ranger. Like, say they are useful. They produce honey. They pollinate flowers. But they're not gonna sting your enemies to death for you without dying themselves, right? That's the one of the hallmarks of Bumblebee. Oh, you don't mind horses breathing on you? So and you have two of them. You're braver than me. Uh, just, mm, I shouldn't say braver exactly. Just, gross. Huge nostrils pumping out warm air. Certain humidity to it as well. A certain wetness. And the smell too. But maybe again, I'm just thinking about like it breathing in your face or something like that, or breathing down your neck. This cat is not going to leave. It's not going. Subclass features, feral sense, blind sight to a range of 30 feet. Blind sight at 15. So yeah, everything that they've gotten so far has been in the aim of combat, hasn't it? It is 100% combat based. That was one of the things, like, the Explore pillar has been fairly unused in a lot of people's games, and the Ranger was excellent at basically chopping down that pillar. So just thinking back, actually, let me grab the previous one that had the options for character backgrounds and looking at that. Cat is rolling. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, origins. Origins. Pop it in another window so I can switch between them. Oh no. I left. Can I jam my arm back in here? The answer is yes. Yes, I can. I had to stop being a rest for a second. Okay, so for this one, looking at the backgrounds again real quick. Let me swap it to this look. So I have it set to 175. Yeah, there's no favored terrain or anything like that showing up in here. They are not gimped, so to speak, by that. Just looking up because I remember there was a recent ruling that was kind of strange about like a dragon and blind sight and how like someone who's invisible around a dragon that has blind sight. Um, Something about how the invisibility still confers advantage to the invisible person when they're trying to, I guess, like sneak around. Or the person who I don't remember which way it went, if it was that the person still had advantage, or if the enemy had disadvantage still, despite having blind sight against someone who is invisible. So this is all spells again. Blind sight. See without relying on physical sight. You can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover. You can effectively see a hidden or invisible creature at that range. Okay, so yeah, they're able to see a hidden or invisible creature. They can be invisible themselves for one turn. One turn. That was in here, wasn't it? Yeah, 15th, blind sight. I had a rogue player who wanted to multi-class because they didn't feel at like 6th level or anything. I think at 6th level it was, there was no ranger feature worthwhile, so they started skipping through other classes. Thinking like, in this version they probably wouldn't think of that. Another ASI or feat. Hunter's Mark, 1d10. So higher cap on it. But I guess it is math, of course, like an average of 3.5 versus an average of what? 5.5? Feats. And 19th, they get another one. And 20th, the Epic Boon. Epic Boon of Fortitude feat versus the Bard got Epic Boon of Luck, I think it was. I just realized someone move the mic on me when I wasn't looking. They must have been in here. I should probably close the door. Except there's a really nice sunspot in here in the morning. What? When I'm not here. So yeah, absolutely nothing in here has to do with favored terrain whatsoever. They are pretty much Hunter's Mark the class. Okay, water. Okay, I will be watered. And I can change my posture, but if I want to pet the cat, if I want to keep him out of trouble, I have to have a bad posture. If I had just had the foresight earlier to move him into a different position, because often I can move him so that he's between the keyboard and me, and that's much easier to keep a good position in. So, yeah, they don't have anything that ties them to one specific type of lands, or even one specific type of foe, it seems. Like, favorite enemy is entirely Hunter's Mark. And they have the Ranger subclass. I'm wondering if they kind of moved it into a subclass section, a bit like the Druid of the Land. The circles. If they basically made default, a lot of the old default stuff into a specific class. Because what if you do have a campaign that is supposed to be entirely set in the Underdark? Then maybe some of these options, those old options, would be useful. Let's see. Except they go straight into prepared ranger spells. Long rest, you can change the spells. Everything is so flexible now. So, you always get Hunter's Mark. Guidance and Thornwhip. Cure Wounds, Hunter's Mark, Speak with Animals. Ensnaring Strike, Long Strider, Pass Without Trace, Spike Growth, Bark Skin. Okay, so the only thing that you have to keep is Hunter's Mark. That was, I think Tasha's was last November, so about a year ago. About a year ago is when they did that. Let me check. When was the date for Tasha's? I don't know if it's going to have the publishing date on it. Unless I look up, what's the phrase? Publicity stints for it. That is a thing, right? I don't have anything else on here. Yeah, it initially came about from Tasha's. Because they offered favored foe there, which was replacing the favored enemy feature, which did not actually call it Hunter's Mark. It when you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can call upon your mystical bond with nature to mark the target as your favored enemy for 1 minute or until you lose concentration, as if you were concentrating on a spell. So they don't actually call it Hunter's Mark. They basically copy pasted Hunter's Mark into it. I wonder if I can leave my hand now. Or no. Come up. I'm getting such a look of disapproval here. Can't hear me tut-tutting him. Video broadcast. Too strong. Too strong. I think it was incredibly popular over the other option. And then the additional ranger spells that they got. And I want to say the fighting style blind fighting, like they basically get a superior version of that as an option. Or not as an option, as their ability later on. And the fact that they can actually take up Revivify at 11th and 12th level is quite something. They feel a lot less limited than they were. But again, I want to say the spells, I guess it will depend on what's available for Druid, because we know that they're drawing from the same group, the primal group. But I feel like in a lot of cases, maybe not in a lot of cases, because the bard is actually kind of limited. The bard can only choose from 4 different schools of magic, versus the ranger, which is only barred from 1. But if the druid, I'm going to guess, is probably not going to be barred from any, because looking at the list, look back down at the list. Back down at the list. Looking at the primal schools and knowing that it's pretty much only the ranger and the druid who pick from it. I think they did specify earlier in this document who picked from what lists. No, you don't get my tea. Can you think of a school that the druid would be banned from in primal? Like, maybe no, not divination, because they should totally get locate animals or plants or locate object, right? And at the same time, just quickly looking, I'm actually going to go all the way back up to take a look and see about what classes get what list, simply because features, divine or primal. So cleric, druid, paladin. So I guess it's possible that the cleric or paladin could have primal magic, but I somewhat doubt that. Going back down to the spell list. Just assuming a druid is a full caster, they're not going to be banned from, unless they're banned from necromancy. Imagine that. But they can't be, because they're incarnate, and that's, I think, very classic druid. Find the Path feels like another one that they wouldn't be banned from. Commune with nature. They're not going to be banned from, probably. Abjuration. Our word heal, no. Conjuration, transmutation. I think they're going to have the full spell list. It's abjuration I was looking at, right? Detection, spell magic, lesser restoration. Healing word is abjuration now. Yeah. Resistance, cure wounds. There's no way. There's no way that they would do that. Right? They wouldn't theoretically ban druids from abjuration, would they? Because that's kind of where all the healing spells went. Just theory crafting about what is to come. Considering they've been releasing 1 a month for the past couple months, that means we should probably see the next one. They should bring the next one in later than 2 weeks, but before 3 weeks, I would imagine. They should put all the healing spells back into necromancy. It was always a little awkward with that. I understand why they were there, but it made it a little awkward for some things. Just thinking about like being a maybe this is much more dependent on the world that it came from, but like there was the grave cleric concept where they're not interested necessarily in death, and they are not interested in necromancy as it is traditionally viewed, but they're still a cleric, so they still do, healing spells, which were necromancy, and proper not reincarnation, but proper reviving people, as opposed to like uh animating bones type bringing people back. So it put them in a bit of a strange spot. When Revivify and Reincarnate are still necromancy, at least, or rather, Reincarnate is now necromancy. Revivify has always been necromancy, and 5e to Resurrection has always been necromancy, I suppose. But yeah, considering it was supposed to be their earlier necromancy for the case of how to put it, dealing with positive and negative energy, right? That was the whole concept of it, and why they were in necromancy. Like I can see why that they were in necromancy, but I suppose they've mostly moved it the positive energy stuff into abjuration, and negative energy stays in necromancy. And then we have the exceptions of things that directly deal with the dead, like Spare the Dying and Gentle Repose, also stay in necromancy. Granted, Gentle Repose is actually like really great for a necromancer, considering like, I get to keep the bodies good for animating for a little bit longer. Because man, sometimes you don't have those materials that you need, right? You have to schlep yourself back to town so you can buy those components. I've had that happen in games. Oh no. And the same thing actually with like traditionally reviving companions as well, not having the funds on hand to revive. But hey, we got a little bit for Gentle Repose to keep everything okay. To keep everything static for a little bit. Okay, that's it. We're in the Epic Boons area. This is Ranger again, right? Yes, it is. Tree Stride. I think Tree Stride is the one where. Just trying to remember if that's the short distance tree movement or if it's the long distance tree movement. Because I think if it's a long distance one, like being able to get that at the end is actually really cool. Being able to like the long distance tree spell I'm thinking of is if you've been to a tree before, basically you can enter a tree in your vicinity and come out the other side at the other tree that you recognize, that you're familiar with. They don't necessarily have the spells, right? No. Oh, they do have some spells. Oh, but they have new versions of some of them, like Barkskin's new. Is that the only one that's new, I wonder? Real quick. G, Exhausted. Guidance has a new version. Okay, we skipped over those, so I'm actually going to go back after. Wait, I thought that was altitude, not attitude. Visible jump, magic. Just the fact that magic is now an action. Tree Stride is the 500-foot one? Okay. So they only get the lower power version. Oh well. It's still good. Okay. But yeah, like magic as an action. Instead of cast a spell as an action. Or cast a spell with a variable time. Magic item that requires an action. I wonder if that's a bit more limiting than before. I think it might be. Thinking about some of the interesting issues that people had with making an attack that is a spell attack and things like that, that whole interaction, because there was an interaction with Booming Blade, wasn't there? I think that was a popular one, but it got kind of nerfed. It got nerfed uh, because of definitions of different types of definitions of attack, I think it was. I built a character that was based around that concept as well, but that was ages ago, and I want to say, muscle wizards don't work out quite as well as you probably want them to. at least, at least my muscle wizard ended up being a great buffer for other people. It's like even though he wasn't able to do a whole lot of direct attacks himself as I had initially planned, being able to just kind of sit back there and cast haste and other buffing spells on people worked out. As long as I kept concentration. Or rather, I guess like one buffing spell and then still attempting my work. Like, I'm still helpful. I'm still letting the barbarian do some really stupid things. Only being able to cast X if Y happens? Are you talking about, like, held actions? Because held actions are another level of bullshittery. I can understand why they're built the way that they were, held actions, but it really, really, really sucks as a caster. It really sucks. For held actions before, I don't know if it's like this in the other version, in 5, flat 5e, but when you're holding an action to cast a spell, you are spending that spell slot, whether you cast that spell or not. It does not matter. Which I think a lot of people kind of forget when they're holding a spell. Only be able to cast cantrips after the first spell cast in a round. That is not actually how it works, though. That is not how it worked, I should say. It's not how it worked. The ruling was such that if you cast a bonus action spell, I think, you could only cast a cantrip. However, there is absolutely nothing against being able to cast 2 spells that each cost an action if you were able to do so via means like action surge. If you dipped into fighter for some ungodly reason, you could theoretically action surge 2 fireballs, and that's perfectly legal. I think there are definitely other ways of pulling off the same move, but I think the main thing is that cantrips were always always cost an action, and with the interactions of other spells between bonus actions and actions, you can't take a reaction on your turn, so that's very limiting. And hello, Darren Sean. But yes, if you were able to take 2 actions on one turn, for some reason, you were able to cast 2 spells that took an action each. But you throw a bonus action in there and you're kind of fucked. Someone is blocking my screen now. The cat has decided to sit up and just... He's there. Oh, never mind. I've stretched. And I have tea. Thank you for the redeems. Be a good boy. No? You probably can't. He's purring now, but I don't think you can hear him unless I turn off turn off a setting. He's probably too low. Too low. Getting caught by the filter. Ugh. No, 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 don't do that on the keyboard. Don't do that on the keyboard. Maybe we can move you so that you're... Can I just scooch? Can we scooch? Yeah? Yeah? Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, there's gonna be a loud noise as I move some stuff. No, 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 come on. Okay, I've got him in my arms now. This is a better position. He's wrapped up here. He's not super happy, but he'll be happy in time. Yeah, there we go. There we go. He's on his side now. This. Oh, okay. Never mind. I activated the kicker. Why? I activated the kicker. What? He's not happy at all. He was just pretending. He bites the hand that feeds. He's got a dead-eyed stare now. Okay. So, musical instruments, primal spells. Okay. So yeah, druids and rangers get primal spells. We have areas of knowledge. So now they have a study action to make an int check. Or rather, a skill check. Hmm. Thinking back on some of the other, on 3.5, where it was very much a case of them describing in the skill area whether how you can activate that kind of check, whether it counts as an action or something like that. I'm thinking here, like, okay, these are all, these are all actions now, I guess. Although at least it's not that, like, everything takes an action, it's just these specific pieces. Tremor sense, teleportation. Okay, and that's the end. So there was a section on a few of the spells that were updated. Special speeds, speed of 0. Wait. Okay. Just double checking something. Every time I see attitude, I think it's altitude. Every time. Heroic inspiration. Hidden condition, wait. Surprise. Attacks affected, ending the condition. An enemy finds you. The fact that they spell out, like, you cast a spell without verbal components, or you aren't heavily obscured or behind any cover as well. Okay, divine guidance spell. Okay, this is one of the new spells defined here, new versions. So it's divine and primal. Reaction 30 feet. Actually, I'm also going to pop up the old guidance real quick. Let me grab it. Because wasn't guidance the one where people would pretty much just sit there and, like, slap someone else on the back to give them guidance for, like, every roll if the timing didn't matter? I feel like it was one of those spells. Because, I mean, it was pretty much a free 1d4 on behalf of whoever is doing the action. So there was no, I don't see no problem with it, just guidance. Let's see. Oh, no, no. Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, guidance used to be the one action duration, 1 minute concentration spell where you slap someone on the back and they get to add a d4 to one ability check of their choice. And they can determine whether or not they want to use the die after they roll. They could use it before too, but they could also just wait to see, like, I got a 20. That should be good enough. completely valid. And here, a reaction cantrip. A reaction cantrip. We haven't had too many of those, have we? Let me just do a quick check there. I'm pretty certain it's not something that comes up very often, if at all. Can I? Okay, I have to reset all filters. Let's see. Split it down to spell level, cantrip. All we need to see. And after that, it's a case of just looking at the casting time and sorting by casting time. Casting time. So we have Magic Stone and Shillelagh, which are bonus actions. And if I hop to the last page, so that's the first page. Is there... And then there's Mending, which is 1 minute. So the only ones that aren't in action are Mending for a minute. And Magic Stone and Shillelagh. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Essie, for the raid. I am the Evening Primrose. I come out at night to play games, tabletop, board, and video. Lately, mostly video. But right now we're talking about 1D&D. I'm a night blooming elf, a garden elf. Let's see. And I have a guest who is unhappy with me right now because I have decided to dying to use the keyboard when I should instead be petting him. I have a cat who was wrapped up in my arms. Thank you very much for that raid. I hope you had a good time. You were doing art. How was that? How did that come out? Cat, yeah. I have 3 cats. One of which will never be here, but the other 2 show up frequently, especially this one, who in the past has shown up and stayed in my arms for entire ASMR streams. He's very cuddly. He's a little loud, and right now he's about 1 inch from the mic, threatening if I let go. Oh, no, don't rub the mic. No, rub the mic. If he doesn't get... No, don't rub the pop filter. No, don't chew it. Don't chew it. You were drawing one casual outfit? Like a casual winter outfit? A comfy sweater? Comfy sweater time? Sounds fun. I've been looking at the September Unearthed Arcana release, which was the second of the 1D&D options. No, you don't get to do this either, cat. Okay, he's gone. He's left. He is done with me. And last time, I covered this last week too, but I only got as far as the the bard. I only covered the first of the 3 classes that were in this release. So this is the second release of 1D&D papers. So the first one was about backgrounds for creating your character, and this time it's about the classes. And they covered 3 classes: the so-called experts, the bard, the ranger, and the rogue. And just looking at the general spells that they reversioned in this release, it seems like they've done it for 2 spells, and they've changed things up a little bit. Like, comparing it against what currently exists in 5e, there's almost all the spells, all the cantrips in 5e have a casting time of 1 action, except for Mending, which has a casting time of 1 minute, and Shillelagh and Magic Stone, which have a casting time of a bonus action. Reversion. So they're adding Shillelagh here, Guidance, which is going to be a reaction cantrip. a reaction cantrip, which is unusual. But yeah, Shillelagh is meant to allow a druid or someone like that to switch from using strength for their like club attacks pretty much to using wisdom. And magic stone, which is basically allowing you to beat David from David and Goliath. Take a pebble and now it's a more deadly weapon than it really should be as just a pebble. And guidance here, reaction. So if someone around you or you yourself fail an ability check, you can use a reaction within 30 feet to add a d4. Huh. Oh, that's how they get around it being spammed to hell and back right now. It's the you can only benefit from it once per long rest. That gimps it quite a bit. Thank you for the posture check. While I'm doing that, I'm actually going to release the guest. He's no longer going to be locked up because right now he is crying. I don't know if you can hear him. Crying for something. Watch. I'm going to hear him cry once more in another 5 minutes to come back in. It was really cute, actually. Earlier, I have one cat who has to be separated from the others because she's not fully integrated into the household. And she has essentially an apartment to herself in my home. And I could hear her playing with toys in the apartment. And so could my boy cat. And he was just nose first pressed up against the door wanting to go in. But I know that once he's let in, he's going to just raise havoc. So I have to be careful. I have to be careful. He's going to just scare her back in. She's a very skittish cat. But hello, Remove. Thank you for the posture check. And also, thank you, Evil Coconut Crabs, for the follow. She has her own room. She has her own apartment. She has her own bedroom, her own living room, her own kitchen. And if I open the door, she'd have her own bathroom too, but I'm not letting her in the bathroom. I don't want her hiding in there. Yeah, she has her own apartment. No boys allowed. I mean, she is getting a little bit better overall, but with humans and elves anyway, and others, just not with small cats. Yeah, she has her own bathroom. Honestly, the apartment used to be like the cat's domain anyway. That's where I used to feed them and such. But with the Contessa moving in and demanding her own space, I ended up moving them out. So we have to share a kitchen now. Cat food in the kitchen. But yeah, I'm hoping to one day move them all into one space. I'm hoping for them all to get along, but as it is, like, I already have 2 cats that don't super get along, so having a 3rd cat, like, 2 factions that don't get along is not great. 3 factions that don't get along is even worse. I want to say, how many cliques can a cat house have, really? Can there be 4 cliques of cats? Or, there's a word for this, for like the social groups that cats fall into. I want to say like allo grooming or something like that. Like there's supposed to be something all about that. 1 per cat. No, but you can have cats that share, cats that get along, cats that play with each other and groom each other. But my cats don't. 1 per cat times 3. Yeah, the cats do not get along. Like, I want to say, as they age, they're getting a little better, but in general, they're still not, like, interested in grooming each other, and they're not interested in touching each other. They're not interested in playing with each other. They only care about non-cats. They only care about non-cats. So there's guidance in terms of spells. Yeah, pet drama. My life is full of pet drama. Yeah, it is fairly catty. Barkskin was the other one. Barkskin was the other spell that I saw on this list. I want to say that thinking it over, I'm glad I have cats and not dogs. You've only seen non-related cats cuddling with each other once? Hmm. Was it a case where, like, someone took in, well, someone had an adult cat and there was a kitten that came in? Because that's supposed to be a situation I think I've heard of where it's more likely. Unfortunately, it was a cold day. Okay, that's fair. Unfortunately, I have a lot of radiators, so the cats like to sit on that instead of dealing with each other. They also like to use myself as a heater, and they have a single heated bed, a single like heated cat bed, electric one. And then there's also the fireplace too, so they have plenty of options for keeping warm. Plenty of options. Like maybe if I had the heater off and if I had all those heat sources off, I think they would still go for people in general rather than each other for warmth. And thinking back on it, I actually have had a time where there was no heating in the house or in the home, I should say. Not with these two exact cats, but with this cat and another one, and there was no cuddling between them. It was simply a case of staying with the humans, staying with the humans all the time. I think it was 2 weeks without heat of any sort. I should say without any sort, but like we could make tea at the time. We could use hot water bottles, but we could not have any sort of house heating. He was got used to cats, or got along with cats when he was a kitten, but he grew up to be cantankerous. Cantankerous. Mm-hmm. I want to say I wish I had done some things differently when the one cat that I had as a kitten here, when he was a kitten, because of how I acquired him, I did not let him free socialize with the other cats for a little while when he was very young, because I was afraid of infection and doing a proper introduction. But I feel like by doing the proper introduction, I probably fucked over their relationship. I probably fucked up their relationship because I have a female cat who has had kittens before, or maybe she just wasn't a motherly cat to begin with, despite having been a mother a few times. But she did not take to him. She hated his guts. She had no interest in dealing with him unless he wasn't a cat. If he was a paw underneath a door, then it's fine to play with. But as a full cat, as a kitten, no. Chase him away. Chase him away. And now he's the one that bullies her because he's bigger. And now he bullies them all because he's bigger. It's kind of amazing the size difference in the cats, despite say I guess despite age differences and and even how they were raised, the boy cat is still the biggest of the three. Mothers that hate kids because she's had them. Entirely possible. I got her when she was 2 or 3 years old, and she had just had her kittens adopted out at that stage. So it's kind of if she's had this set of kittens, how many other sets of kittens has she had? No idea. No idea. She's probably gone through a couple litters. So she was probably just like sheer done with it. And seeing a kitten in the house being like, nope, nope, I'm not. Not interested. Not interested. and thinking back on it a little bit. She used to cry a lot carrying around soft toys at night. But after we got the kitten, she didn't do that as much anymore. She doesn't carry things around anyway and cry. I always thought that was a kind of a missing her kitten sort of deal. I don't think so. I think I was mistaken. Projecting feelings onto, projecting emotions onto an animal that doesn't necessarily feel that way. I should have known better. Motherhood is tough. Motherhood is tough. Or so I hear. Barkskin. Barkskin. Second level primal. Bonus action. What was it before? Concentration up to 1 hour. What was Barkskin like before? If I remove this and change this Barkskin. Yep, I'm sure I'm going to have that same sort of feeling after I eventually get this third cat integrated somehow into the home. I really don't want to have to let her out again, but I shouldn't have to. It just kind of sucks to lose a part of the house to a cat. Having this unpaid house guest, having this unpaid renter. I would say like if she hunted things in the house, that'd be great. Like it would be paid, but she hasn't been super good about it. Occasionally I've seen a dead insect in there that she must have killed, but then I saw this spider that was, this spider must have been an inch big up on the wall. It's just kind of a Cat, you're slacking. You've been sleeping too much in here. You need to wake up. You need to wake up. You can't allow this in your territory. But I think she's starting to get some of the hunting instinct back. She's been figuring out how the windows work in that area and realizing that, oh no, someone's crying. He's crying like desperate, huge cries of I just woke up and it's dark. Mommy, please find me. That's his cries right now. Oh my god, he's such a dumb cat. Like, there's different notes in cats' voices, and his is the like desperate cry. But it's stopped now, so he should be fine. He must have found something to comfort him. Okay, Barkskin. Old Barkskin was an action, not a bonus action. Concentration duration of 1 hour, VSM. And it's a lot more text now than it used to be. It used to not be upcastable either. And before it used to specify oak bark, and now it's not oak bark, it is simply bark. So Barkskin used to be, you touch a willing creature. Until the spell ends, the target's skin has a rough, bark-like appearance, and the target's AC can't be less than 16, regardless of what kind of armor it is wearing. That's what it used to be. Now, let's see. Oh, now it's a temp hit points bonus. Interesting. Spellcasting ability modifier plus prof bonus. So I guess it would start, actually it's a second level spell, so probably around 5 or 6 temp hit points. As a bonus, oh, bonus action second level, this feels kind of shit though, honestly. It feels kind of shit. Maybe it's more so because people were going druid form and just slapping Barkskin on and forgetting about it. Or rather, not really using Barkskin as much. But I feel like this is not necessarily an improvement. Except, okay. Except for the upcasting where you can add on more creatures. But again, that's not a lot of temporary hit points necessarily for a second level spell. Like, sure, up to 1 hour, but it's also a bonus action spell, so more likely to be cast in the middle of battle. But again, like, woohoo, that's about like a healing spell. What is a good healing spell as a reference point? Like, if you consider like temp hit points as kind of pre-healing, it's a shield in a way. Ah, he's crying. Okay, look up healing spells. Healing. So if I sort by level, good berry. I mean, like technically, good berry's a healing spell. Just shovel a whole bunch of berries down your throat. Let's see. Healing word. Healing word is 1d4 plus spellcast ability modifier. So it's more variable. I guess as you level up, the other one is worth more, but you still kind of cap at 5, I'm guessing, because it's like if you have a 20 and something, you have a +5, right? And I don't remember what the maximum proficiency modifier is, but I think it's 5 or 6, isn't it? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Let's go back to the ranger. What's the max prof bonus? 6. So yeah, the maximum amounts you could get out of this is 11 hit points. 11 temp hit points for a second level spell. Versus... looking at the other one... a 1 minute 1d6 hit point heal for Healing Spirit. It's concentration as well. And it's only a minute, but it's another bonus action spell. Actually, hold on a second. One more thing about this. Let me bump back. This one didn't have a must stay within a certain distance. It's just you touch them. And then they can theoretically go off to do whatever, and they keep that protection. That's neat, but that is a kind of splitting the party thing, so I don't know how often that's going to come up. The fact that it's a bit more versatile in terms of distance. And also, it is a primal spell, but if the druid class has a companion, a familiar, that can cast spells through them, like touch spells, marks can theoretically be done that way. So a better this is the spell to protect NPCs. This is the way that you protect the NPC that has like 4 fucking hit points because they're a commoner. That's what you do. That's what you do. But that's a very niche use. It's a very niche use. I don't know how many times I've had to like basically buff an NPC so they don't die on the first hit. Even if it's just an escort mission. Escort missions suck with non-buffed NPCs. Again, a commoner is like 4 hit points total. Okay, those are the spells. The spells that have changed between 5 and 5e, or 5 and 5.5, or whatever you want to call this. Hunter. Hunter is subclass for ranger. Okay, Hunter's Prey. And this is the same subclass that's available for free. So actually, let me pull that up too, because that is something that can be cross-referenced. Let's look up the ranger and see what else they have. Ranger. Okay. Archetype. Hunter's Prey, they still get. Actually, I wonder if I can just... I actually probably can't, like, layer it because of the way that I'm currently doing this. I have to swap. Or open another window and add a new source. Hunter's Prey. Hit a creature with a... When you hit a creature with a weapon or an unarmed strike as part of an attack action on your turn, the weapon or unarmed strike deals an extra 1d8 damage to the target if it's missing any hit points. Well, once per turn only. Okay, but adding the unarmed strike portion to it. It's actually quite different from the other option, where it's Colossus Slayer, where they define weapon attack, so you can't do unarmed strike with it. It's 1d8 versus 1d8 if it's missing any hit points. Same effect, different wording, it looks like. And they don't have Giant Killer or Horde Breaker, it seems. Because the other options were, let's see, large. I want to say, yeah, I can see why people didn't really take Giant Killer, because I guess it's a free opportunity attack, but it's a very specific opportunity attack. Also for the fact that the large creature has to be within 5 feet of you. I want to say a lot of large creatures have reach of 10 feet. So if you're playing smart as a DM, this isn't going to apply. Like, maybe you should give it to the player on occasion, but it's still like super situational. I can see why people would just go for Colossus Slayer instead, even if it's only once per turn, if they go Hunter. And Horde Breaker, when you make a weapon attack, another attack of the same weapon against a different creature within 5 feet of the original target and within range of your weapon. So, is this essentially an extra attack then? It kind of sounds like it. Kind of sounds like it. Huh. I mean, yes, there's limitation of it has to be a different creature within reach, but if you're in the fray of things, I think that's much more likely than Giant Killers. Giant Killers options. Let's see, defensive tactics is not on your... He's crying again. Give me a second. What I need to do is just wrap him up in a sheet. Just roll him up like a burrito. And then maybe he'll be quiet. Oh, he's mad. I don't know what he wants. Aside from attention. Cats. Children. Not once. Hunter's Lore, 6th level. Forces of nature to reveal certain strengths and weaknesses of your prey. When they're marked with Hunter's Mark, you know immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities. And if the creature has any, you know what they are. Okay. That's really useful. It feels a bit like the flip side of a fighter ability that's out there. I remember that there's a fighter ability that allows you to basically read a person's, a couple of people, some people's scores, basically. Like, you'd be able to see if they have a higher con or lower con or equal con to you. I think the same with strength. And level too, which is kind of weird because it's against NPCs. And like, yeah, there are NPC levels, but a lot of the times things are just kind of made up. So, and also it was much more limited because it was like you take a minute to study your opponent and you can read this stuff. And you can only read, is it higher, equal, or lower? You can't know the exact options. You can't know that the NPC has like an 8 in strength, just that, yes, it is lower than you. And also because you're a fighter, it's kind of a case of, unless you're a dex build or something like that, you already, I want to say, you should already have a good idea if something outstrengths you for the most part. It feels like kind of a very useless ability, honestly. I was able to use, I think, once or twice just to evaluate basically a barbarian. Because more often than not, it was kind of, yeah, there's no one as strong as me in this room. Or like, yeah, that's a gigantic Lovecraftian horror from beyond the sea. Yes, it's going to have a higher strength than me. Let's see. It was fighter. I'm trying to remember. I was a battle master, so was it a battle master ability? It may have been. Except that you don't have access to that here. Haha. Okay. Let me open it elsewhere. No. Let's see. Okay. Battle master. It was. Know your enemy at 7th level. 1 minute outside of combat. Equal, superior, or inferior in regards to 2 of the following characteristics of your choice. Strength score, dexterity score, con score, armor class, current hit points, total class levels, if any, and fighter class levels, if any. So yeah, oftentimes it's kind of a fighter class levels, who's gonna know? Oh. Current hit points is actually I guess quite useful, but again, this is outside of combat. So I guess if you're trying to evaluate whether something is faking being terribly hurt. He's ruining my blinds. And yeah. I feel like the rest doesn't usually necessarily actually need this ability to read the information. Meow? Why are you so pitiful? Meow? Fine. Oh, that's right, I forgot that they had races in here too. And that they added a new one. It feels like it was forever ago, but really it was just 1 month, wasn't it? Well, a little bit over a month. So yeah, Hunter's Lore actually seems more useful. Why is the cat so full of pity? He's just pretending to be. He wants the window open. He wanted the window open, but because now I am not opening it for him, he has moved on. And now he looks like he's going to start chewing some stuff. Oh, no. He went up instead. He wants to smell the city. Yeah, actually. The problem is if I open the window, you'll be able to hear everything. Everything. I had the window open once during a session, and the only thing that people could hear was apparently cicadas at the time. It's not cicada season anymore exactly, but I would still be a little worried that it would be overpowering everything else if I open that window. Especially because looking at where the mic is placed, it is not exactly a straight line, but close enough. Oh no. Okay. He's very settled. But yeah. He doesn't have like a great view of the city. There's a little garden though. There's a little garden. There's a beautiful Japanese maple. And there are a lot of birds that theoretically live around here. Which used to come around more often, but because of the bird flu basically, you're not supposed to be feeding birds. You're not supposed to be providing them with a cafeteria. No, you don't don't get to do that. No. No. He's trying to pull my mug closer. No. He's trying to pull my mug closer. Nature is, I mean, like, looking at people is fun too, I think, for them. But looking at squirrels and stuff is the best. Yeah. Oh, okay. I have my tea. It's a peppermint tea tonight. I realized I've been focusing too much on the throat coat tea, the licorice tea. Maybe a little break will make me it will make me remember the taste of other things a little better. Maybe I'll go back and I will hate licorice once more. Instead of this current state of like, well, it's not so bad. It's not so bad, becoming immune to it. So at 10th level they get multi-attack. They always have Conjure Barrage prepared. Huh. Actually, just looking at this. Huh. More so, how does that play into the whole 9th level, 10th level thing? Because they suggested 9th level for you to take Conjure Barrage, but 10th level, it doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare. So do you basically just get a 3rd level spell back if you already had it picked? I suppose so. And you can downcast it. Like, I think this is the first time that they've described downcasting, isn't it? Yeah, I think this is the introduction of downcasting. That's strange. That's strange. Superior Hunter's Defense. When you are hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to have the attack's damage against yourself. Redirect the other half of the damage to one creature you can see within 5 feet of you. Casting like Tropical Depression. I want to say it's a ranger, so yes, actually in this case it could be Tropical Depression. It could be other kinds of depression though too. Is it subtropical forest? Temperate forest. Temperate depression. It's temperate depression mostly. I want to say, show me a ranger who is not a forest ranger or an Underdark ranger in the case of when you're playing things like Escape from, God, what's it called? Avernus? Is it Avernus? Out of the Abyss, I'm thinking of, perhaps. Or Princess of the Apocalypse. But yeah. Yeah, more often temperate depression. Or Underdark depression. Although in this case, like, it's a cool thing to have depression. What else does Conjure Barrage do? Is Conjure Barrage a basic spell? Conjure... Typing one-handed again. To keep the Mr. happy. Ugh. He's way too warm, actually. Okay, Conjure Barrage is player's handbooks and not basic rules. So... non-magical weapon or fire a piece of non-magical ammunition into the air to create a cone of identical weapons that shoot forward and then disappear. Each creature in a 60-foot cone must succeed on a dex saving throw, and it's 3d8 on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. Damage type is the same as the weapon or ammunition used as the component. Okay, so all I can think of with this is, like, I'm the bone of my sword. It's that kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. You have one weapon, and then suddenly it becomes a huge amount of weapons on a cone that you shoot out. Hmm. Third level, deck save, self. So the only real difference here. So a 60-foot cone, though, that's still quite big for a cast. And the only ones who actually, oh, the only one who gets Conjure Barrage before in 5e was the Ranger, like all Rangers, and the Battlesmith, which is a type of Artificer. I can understand why the Battlesmith would get it. But I guess it's a neat trick to always have up your sleeve. And the fact that you don't have to save your third level slot for it. You can downcast it. I can see why they did that now too. Because they're giving you a third level spell and you are, what spell? What level was it? 10th level, I think it was. 10th level, multi-attack. 10th level, 10th level. And this is only for the hunter type rangers too. It's not all rangers, 10th level. So yeah, instead of having to save your third level slots for it, you can spread it out. Especially if you're an archer type and you may only get, if you want to deal with groups of enemies, if you want to do AoE, this is an excellent way of handling it when you have extra slots at the end of, I don't want to say at the end of the campaign, but like in your, maybe you've spent your higher level slots already in an earlier encounter and you only have the lower level ones, but there's a lot of mooks. There's a lot of minions. Excellent choice for a first level slot. Hunter. That was multi-attack, Hunter. And then there's 14th level, and then it's onto Rogue. When you are hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to half the attack's damage against yourself, and you can redirect the other half of the damage to one creature other than the attacker that can see within 5 feet of yourself. That's... Like, Superior Hunter's Defense, like maybe the name could be reworked a little bit. It's a redirect. And there's actually no limit on how often you can use this. This is actually a really nice use for your reaction. The problem is going to be when you are hit by an attack roll. Because it's great against marshals, because that's almost all of what they're going to be doing attack rolls, but against casters... Actually, I suppose it makes sense that it's not as usable against casters because of the whole saving throw situation. Also because it's going to be at distance. It's going to be at a distance. And with magic. And, well, ain't gotta explain shit with magic. So it's actually, you know what? It just makes me think it feels a little bit like on par with the rogue and their evasion. Or is it uncanny dodge? I think it's evasion, where they can have damage on a successful save and just negate damage completely on a failed save. Or on a successful save, they negate damage entirely, right? And then on a failed save, it's half damage. Something like that. And this is purely reaction to have the damage no matter what. And redirecting. But wasn't there something else earlier in here what was like, hey, you could use your reaction to do something. Just what else can you use your reaction for? As a bonus action. Hunter's Mark. No. Not tireless. There's nothing else, huh? Maybe I was thinking of guidance, which is the reaction. Never mind. Okay. So not quite so bad. Not quite so bad. I want to say, like, Hunter's lore is neat. I'm not thematically sure what the others have to necessarily do with hunters. Okay, actually no, Hunter's Prey could also work too because of being able to take down something that's already been hit more easily. But like multi-attack in the hunter's defense feel kind of weak in terms of theme. But you know what? At least functionally they work decently. Functionally they work decently. I'm going to be right back. I want to take care of the little one here and see what he wants. Make him happy, and maybe he will be good. A good boy for the next hour as we talk about the rogue. Right back. Okay, back. He's not happy. He's never going to be happy. He's going to be happy. Not until, like, I don't know if he wants to be an only cat or if he wants to be. How do you put this? Like, the alpha cat? Like, is that even really a concept that exists? He wants all the adoration, he wants all the attention from everyone. But you can't give anything to anyone else. I'll take offense to that. Thank you, Darren. Okay, so we have the rogue left here for review time. Okay, so let's see. I mean, it's expert group and it's Dex. And Rangers had Dex and Wisdom. And Bard simply had Charisma. Even a lion in the wild must submit to the lioness. I suppose if you consider me the lioness in the household, then yes. But I want to say I'm the one waiting on him more often than not. I'm the one waiting on him. Which, like, it's pretty backwards, but he's just so cute, it's hard not to. Even though, like, he's getting up to, like, senior consideration-ish in terms of cat years, which is actually quite a low number. But, like, he still sounds so much like a kitten to me. And again, he sounds so girlish for no, like, there should really not be a distinction, you know, in, like, cats. Like, does it sound like a girl? Does it sound like a boy? But people look at him and assume he's a girl for some reason, even though he's kind of built a little strangely with the, I guess, the color scheme, maybe. Not that he's a calico. If you're a calico, I could completely understand. But, like, I guess just the way the patterning is. And also the amount of pink showing through because he's partially white. And so underneath the skin is cute little pink. Like, there's sometimes those images of like illustrations of like white cats with like pink bellies, and he is 100% that. He's got that pudgy pink belly. It's super cute. It's really hard to resist, just like poking. And yeah, like the other cats don't quite have that so much. But then again, they also, well, one of them, the mother cat, is much more accepting of like belly rubs than he is. Maybe I've been too aggressive with my boy cat in the belly rubs. He's not always accepting. Not always. Just sometimes. A girl cat's probably, I want to say, it makes me think about like, oh, well, does she actually fondly remember the kittens? Like, is she okay with the belly rub because it's so much gentler than what the kittens used to do? Or is it just, you know, kind of bringing back memories of the kittens, and that's a good thing for her because she absolutely does not mind it. Can't have that deep belly massage every day. One of them could. One of them could do it for like an hour, I'm sure, at a time. If I were up to rubbing that long for her. But Other one, not so much. Not so much. You just have to be more careful. But yeah, one of them is much more likely to be the hand that bites, or the one that bites, the hand that feeds. But then again, he hasn't had that tough of a life. He's never been a single mother, living on the streets, never knowing where her next meal would come from. Okay, I can say that two of those things were true for her, probably. The living on the streets and a single mother portion. But someone must have been caring for her beforehand just because of how friendly she is. She could not have been a feral. She must have been a stray. Why am I talking about Metamorphosis? Metamorphosis isn't about that, though, is it? That's about a man that turns into a cockroach, isn't it? Or, well, I mean, you could view it that way, or you can view it as just someone who has a mental breakdown and his family doesn't know how to deal with it. Either which way. By Shindo L. I don't know that. Metamorphosis? Is it a song? Or is it a book? Okay, for a second it was just more of a, like, wait, is it actually called Metamorphosis? Or... I'm not looking it up on stream. Huh. Hmm. Oh, it got him an anime. What am I reading? Okay, so this is about a girl with no social life gets a makeover after graduating middle school. It did apparently. Oh wait, no, sorry. I don't know why I thought anime. I think I looked at internet meme and read anime instead. No, it was just published between 13 and 16. No anime. So highly depressing, disturbing. I haven't read the concept yet. Let me give it a quick. Okay. Makeover, first day of high school. Aha, okay. Huh. Okay. So, date rape. Uh, then compensated dating. Mm. Uh-huh. I want to say I don't know if this is the most depressing thing I've ever read, honestly. Everyone was an actor? What does that mean in this case? A heroin bar. Okay. Yeah, I want to say this does not quite seem to be the worst that I've read. This is not the worst that I've read. I think the worst that I've read is probably actually maybe I shouldn't say the worst. Sekai Oni is probably the worst I think I've read. I haven't finished reading this one though. Mm. Okay. Like, I think if they had just changed the ending of Sekai Oni a little bit, it probably would have been way worse than this, but Sekai Oni is pretty fucking bad too. It is called Sekai Oni, right? Sekai Oni. Yep, Sekai Oni. Just looking back on it. Looking back on it. Wait, did she get... Okay, no, that was just a coloring error. Huh. Post-credit scene showed the characters getting ready to act the scenes in the manga. That's... Hmm. I... I guess I'll just have to read that section. I'll just have to read that section. No. No. I mean, I've read some things, but I haven't read a huge amount necessarily. I've read a smattering of things. I've read a smattering of things. Smattering. But thank you for the new thing to read when I want to be depressed, I guess. Say so in training. Does it say so in training? So if you're saying I'm say so in training, are you implying that I'm not currently say so? I want to say I'm not exactly I'm not exactly say so, but I'm not exactly not say so, I guess. Walking the border. Walking a border. I'm okay with not being called say so. Just thinking, I guess just thinking about like the anime. You should just be quiet. It's okay, it's okay. Mm. But I mean, I want to say, like, what exactly makes someone not say so? I think that if I had an animated model, that would probably put me closer to the not say so side because of the sheer design. My sheer design. And by sheer design, I mean it's a pun because the um you haven't maybe if I move myself a little bit, you'll be able to see a little better. But like, oh, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Do I? I don't have it. Maybe if I grab it, like basically, so the sides, like my leggings and my arms, are covered by a like opaque fabric, but the front of the dress is transparent or translucent. It's better to say translucent, and it's covered up with flowers. So like, mm, mm. And under the dress for a petticoat, I have flowers. It's probably more so visible in the back of the design, more so than the front, where there aren't the flowers covering things. Let me grab it up. Let me grab it up. If I put it up without the background, it's gonna look a little funky. But I can put up this. Hi, piano riff. I'm about to do something. Maybe not stupid, but okay. Yeah, so you can see the design that it is like transparent through here. And again, it's more visible on the back if I swap the image. So yeah, that probably won't be exactly say so when it becomes animated. And yeah, you can see a little bit better on the back. You see nothing unsay so? Okay, that's great. It's great that it's not unsay so. If I'm thinking about this the correct way. If I'm thinking about this the correct way. Like it's not gonna be the worst outfit. Absolute territory? Yeah. It's actually kind of hard to get that look. Even in real life. Like you have to be very measured about the skirt and the stockings for that. Or you cuff them, but at the same time that slightly ruins the effect because you have a thicker band up top. And also because of the thicker band, it applies more pressure, so it depends on how much you like seeing, I guess, skin dentation. Skill issue. Look, I have plenty of skill at that. I have plenty of skill at it. It's just, you know, different outfit pieces. Different outfit pieces. Not all skirts are cut the same, and not all socks have the same elasticity. Not all socks have the same elasticity. What do you mean? Put on the correct clothes. Look. Look. You have to have a variety of things. It can't be. It can't. Do you want to wear the same exact clothes every day? And it can be hard to find things that fit those needs. I actually remember I found a skirt that I fell in love with. It was beautiful because it was a good thickness for the weather, and it was pleated, and it had a good length to it too, but not super long. Like, and I wanted to buy more actually in different colors. However, the problem was that it was actually it was literally a Catholic schoolgirl skirt. And if I wanted to buy more, I had to actually go into the the Catholic school uniform store to buy them. And I was not 18 at the time in human years. I looked older. So I went in there looking to buy another skirt, and the people working there were just side-eyeing me the entire time until finally someone came up and asked if I was basically a undercover employee of a competitor trying to do something. It was the strangest thing. I was just kind of no, I just want to buy a new skirt. I like your skirts. They're better than the ones that they sell in a lot of the other stores around here. I ended up going home without any extra skirts. And I still only have that one from that brand. It's very unfortunate. I want to say, I don't even know if they're still in business. But when they have an attitude like that, like, I can understand why perhaps it's a problem, but at the same time, again, it was a really good skirt. It was a really good skirt. A lot of the ones that you buy nowadays are very cheap. They fall apart more easily. They don't last very long, but the uniforms are much sturdier. The uniforms were so much sturdier. And they had a pocket. You hear about girls always going on about like, oh my god, and my dress has pockets? It's fucking true. It's fucking true. It's amazing when it has pockets, especially because you couldn't see it. It was, you wouldn't be able to tell that I had a pocket and stuff in the pocket with the way that the skirt was made. JC Target Max. Oh no, 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 no. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. Mm. Yes. So, girl pockets are an urban myth? No, no, they're not. I mean, like, I want to say for a lot of outfits that are sold casually, they actually are myths. But for certain things, like the aforementioned uniforms, like uniform skirts, they totally have pockets, or they better made ones can have pockets. And I've also come up. There's no updates on the model. No updates. The last uniform that you bought years ago tore so fast. What kind of uniform? Oh, is it a school uniform? Again, I only really have what date is coming? I don't know what date is coming. Zero idea. It will be when it will be. Just gotta go with the flow. School uniform? Like, maybe the shirts are a little weaker than the skirts, or maybe it has to do with like stress levels, because I want to say a lot of yeah, soon. It's been in development since like June. soon. But yeah, I guess a skirt would have less stress on it than pants would. So maybe it's just that it's to do with that stress points. Mm. Though, dresses that have skirts, or not skirts, pockets. It's very popular in like sewing groups to include pockets in your dress, or making dresses that simply already have pockets in them. Inner stitches in the jacket. Ah, yeah. That's places with a lot of movement, a lot of stress. I can see why it was, why it would come undone, as opposed to the skirt. As opposed to the skirt. But you know, Regettes, if you wanted a uniform that wouldn't tear so quickly, you could get a skirt. It will probably hold up better than the other stuff. No problem then, right? Hmm? Hmm? Nylon? I suppose that, yeah, I guess that would be a good option. I haven't had, I'm just thinking about like different options for fabrics, and I don't have a whole lot of experience with naming fabrics except for a few things. Negative space in the corner? What negative? What negative space? Are you talking about like where the chat box is? Might be it. That might be it. That might just be that might just be an issue of the layout from last time I was dealing with this. I think I may have had a wider image when I was doing this before. Like if you remember the cat girl headbands and tail, that might have to do with the current layout, honestly. Like I may have been further to the left at the time. But no. No, that's just me being a terrible graphic designer. You can tell that I have, what's the phrase? What is the phrase? Graphic design is my passion. Mm. I feel like nylon wouldn't be common necessarily for jackets and trousers, but maybe I'm just thinking of nylon as in like stockings more so than that. I'm more used to say like wool, or I guess polyester, or there's another one. Let's see. I think nylon. Nylon. Let's see. What comes up with nylon? Yeah, nylon is mostly just to me stockings or tights, more appropriately. Although it's not like you have to have your stockings or tights made out of nylon. That's just a common thing. Is nylon a plastic or a rubber? It is plastic. Nylon's a plastic. Okay. Synthetic polymer, blah, 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 blah. Silk-like. Hmm. Yeah, nylons are, when you say just like nylons, people think stockings. So I'm not 100% wrong in that regard. But they can also be used for toothbrushes, like the bristles, I guess. Hmm. Ah, there's another image here. Let me grab it up. Synthetic. Okay, cotton on the inside. Hmm. Just thinking, because cotton is supposed to like wick up wetness, but it also just kind of holds it. So that's kind of strange because it won't be able to breathe it out with the synthetic fabric on the outside. But I'm not a fashion designer, so I'm not a fashion designer. Let's see, where is it? In the Wikipedia article for nylon, there's a bit here about a dress, and looking at it, it's kind of a, huh, I would never have guessed that was nylon. I would have thought it was taffeta. If you guys know what taffeta is. I don't exactly know what taffeta is, but I feel like I would know taffeta if I saw it. I think I would know taffeta if I saw it. Here. Like, this is a nylon fabric. And like, looking at it, come on. Like, that's taffeta, isn't it? Taffeta. Taffeta. I think it's spelled this way. Let me check. Huh. The other things that taffeta, or not taffeta, nylon is used for. Tense ropes, silk, repurposed. Okay. Taffeta. I've done some sewing in the past. I haven't worked with taffeta. I've worked with a lot of duck cloth and some other things. I have to say, anything that is like at all stretchy is a bitch. But this is really taffeta? Okay. So silk taffeta there. So it's a fabric made of many, many different pieces or many different things. Okay. I just look up like taffeta. Taffeta. Okay, it would help if I could spell it correctly. Just looking at taffeta dresses. Okay, I guess maybe I'm thinking of it as more see-through than it is usually. That might be the problem. So I guess I can't identify taffeta on site like I thought I could. This just looks like, God, now it's like, wait, I would guess that this would be like crinoline or something like that. Do I not know what crinoline is? Is my whole interpretation of fabric a lie? Crinoline. Let me check. What does crinoline look like? Am I switching up crinoline and taffeta? I think the answer is a little bit yes. Yeah, fabric of reality. Torn in twain. I don't know what fabric is anymore. No, but I have a sewing machine in my closet, so I feel like I should know a little bit more. And I also have a dresser too that's unfinished. A Wimplo? No, I don't think I've been taught wrong on purpose. It's more so just, I don't want to say learning wrong, but just you go shopping and keeping track a bit of like what different things are made out of a little bit because they need to be treated a little differently in washing. For instance, like all the socks I was talking about for like thigh highs, those were hand wash only because God, you don't want to put them through the machine because it would wreck them pretty much. And so just having to watch each item, make sure that you treat it appropriately to last longer. And oh, I guess it's just been a while since I've had to pull out some of these. Saying I went to art school, I did go to art school. I also actually did sewing for art school as well, for a project. It was a bit undercover actually. I took up a sewing project specifically so I could also at the same time sew a costume. Or rather, I had a. If you wanted to rent things, you kind of had to have an excuse for a school project. So, using the initial sewing project as an excuse for renting it off hours for a costume as well. I mean, that wasn't how I learned how to sew, and I want to say I'm still not great at sewing. There are as I said, like stretchy fabric is tough to work with, and I still haven't quite figured out the appropriate tension for that sort of content, which is a problem. Especially if you're mixing fabrics too, if you have something that's stretchy against something that isn't like a brocade. Yes, I have a sewing machine. And I can use it to do some things. I can use it to do some things. I can make curtains. Curtains are easy. Pillowcases are easy. I can do French seams. I'm just thinking, I don't know if I've done any proper, what's the phrase? Linings yet in my work, but a lot of times costumes don't need that, so it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't need it. French seams. I also want to say, I hate sleeves. I hate making sleeves. French seams. Again, it's been a while since I've done it, but basically a way to do a seam to like sew it inside. So it's hidden in a certain way. It sounds fancy, yes. It's not useful for everything. Because, like, here's an example of like a regular seam where it's just open frayed edges, and the French seam, the frayed edges are actually tucked in, so they're not going to be quite as stressed when you wash it. So it's double protection against it. And also it looks nice and crisp. Cover here. I just realized that you can't really see it because of how it works. There are different kinds of seams. There's also something else that you can only really do with, I can't do serging. I can't do serging. I don't have a serger. Oh, no, I don't want to print. It's a print. But yeah, there's a couple different types of seams. But I want to say French is the only one I learned how to do. Well, that and like very, very, very basic seam. Okay, here's a couple other seams. I feel like okay, let me open this up in a new tab. Bunch of illustrations of seams. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Sewing seams. So, like, if you did a sewing project when you were much younger, you probably just had a plain seam. Like, teacher wouldn't really care, especially if it was a plush creature or something. Double seam, extra protection, but still, like, pretty similar to the plain seam. Mock French seam. Which seam is the one I used. I've not seen some of these. Bias bound seam. Okay, bias tape. This is probably more likely to be for like used in cording and stuff, I think. Like on the edges of uniforms, I would imagine. Makes it look a little fancy, but at the same time it protects those edges. Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways, and they all have different purposes. Either because of the fabric that you're using, or for other reasons. For instance, I don't necessarily know if you want to do like a French seam on a transparent or translucent fabric. Like that might not look great in the end. Having like that extra thickness, that's a problem. Because it is quite a bit thicker than a plain seam would be. Okay, I'm gonna... Okay, stretch. Ow. I just have a little bit of tea left. Thank you for the redeems. There's quite a bit with sewing. There's quite a bit with sewing. It looks really simple, but when you actually sit down to do it, it's a bit nerve-wracking, especially with the cost of fabrics being the way it is. And also, measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, cut once. And then leaving potentially holes in the fabric if you sew it wrong. I remember making a costume once, and I was doing it in a hurry because I needed to finish it for a deadline, and I ended up... It was a skirt. It was a white skirt, which was a bit difficult because, I want to say, usually white fabrics are not very thick. It can be seen through. So I actually had to... I think I actually had to line this one more properly because of the fact that it was white, and I did not want it to be see-through. And I was in a bit of a haze the morning I sewed it, and so it was a pleated skirt, which consists of the pleated bottom and a waistband up top. And the problem was, I sewed the pleats onto the waistband near the end and on the zipper, and then I tried it on, and I realized, did I mess up the pattern somewhere? This does not fit right. This does not look right. What did I do wrong? My roommate comes in and takes one look, and she says, "You sewed it on backwards. You sewed it in the wrong direction. You sewed the bottom or the top of the pleats onto the top of the waistband instead of the bottom." So that entire like waistband area was upside down. And then I had to unsew it, like rip it apart, that section, and redo it again, which kind of left like little pricky holes through it because I was redoing a whole bunch of sewing. And, you know, the extra time involved with having to take it apart and then repin it back together and then resew it. Just, if I had just done it properly the first time, I would have saved so much time. Hello, Reverie. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be talking about D&D, but I'm talking about sewing instead. I can go back to Rogue. I feel like sewing in this case would be part of Thieves' Cant, talking about sewing. Actually, if you've read any Discworld works, they have the Assassin's Guild, which could be considered part of the Rogue, like a Rogue tangent, but they also have the Seamstresses Guild, which is, I want to say, the Seamstresses Guild owns not a single needle amongst the set of them, I believe. Or like you can count the number of needles that are registered in Discworld on like one hand, something like that. And just the euphemism, the Thieves' Cant-esque euphemism of, yes, the Seamstresses Guild, of course. Of course. They're not seamstresses. But then again, that happens with a lot of things if they're trying to hide rogues, right? I know in 14 they are the sisters. They are nuns or something like that, when it is in fact a rogues guild headquarters. Okay. Rogues, dex-based, subtle strikes over brute strength. They don't define a rogue's relation to the law. But not, again, they emphasize here that not every criminal or officer is a rogue. Like, it takes a special kind of person to become a rogue. Just like with the bard. Anyone can sing in a tavern for money. It takes extra effort for it to be magical. But in the rogue's case, it's just, you have to be extra smart, I guess, since magic is not involved in most cases. I'm going to guess that the archetype, the subclass that they're going to have is going to be the thief. Is that the basic rogue available? I feel like it is. Let's take a look. Instead of at the fighter, we'll keep ranger up just in case. Let's see. Yeah, thief. Okay. Thief is the free archetype. Okay, so that's probably going to be the same here. So, creating a basic rogue, nothing much to it. No default selections for some things. So, expertise, sneak attack, thieves can't at first. They get expertise again at 7th. Do they get another expertise? Okay, they don't get a 3rd expertise. Get cunning action. Subclass, uncanny dodge. This doesn't feel that different from the base rogue. Let's take a look. Because expertise, sneak attack, thieves can't. Then cunning action, then subclass. Then feat at 4th, which is ASI. 5th is uncanny dodge. 6th is subclass feature. Or expertise in this case. But they already gave expertise at the beginning. 6th. Okay, they gave expertise in both cases in the first. So they just switch up 6th and 7th, it looks like. Except evasion. Where does evasion come in? Evasion they give it 9th now. Okay. Where normally they have another archetype feature. Just kind of a... Okay, the reason why they call it just archetype up there is because that's when you gain it. Versus here, where you just get features from it. Okay. 8th is ASI again. Stroke of Luck gets moved. Elusive is 18th. So they move that around a bit. And 15th is Slippery Mind. 15th is Slippery Mind. 14th is Blind Sense, which is missing here. And so there's Subtle Strikes at 13. And Reliable Talent at 11. Okay, so that's the same. So there's just the difference between Subtle Strikes and Slippery Mind. Let's see. 1d8, con, pretty standard, dex int. Skills. So they're still limited. They're limited in skills. But it's a huge list to choose from. Acrobatics, athletics, deception, insight, intimidation. That feels like a lot of int charisma. But they also have dex and strength as options. Actually, no, that's a lot of dex too because of acrobatics, sleight of hand, stealth. Athletics is the only one that's strength, and that is like the only one that's strength. Simple weapons. And martial weapons with finesse. Is that a little different? Hello, Puente. Okay, real quick. Do they also have... Okay. So before it was a very specific shortlist, and now it's any martial with finesse as well as simple. But they already had simple. Okay. And Thieves' Tools is the only tool set that they have. But that's the same as well. Light armor. Oh, I'm going to take a sip. Sip. It's peppermint tea tonight. I still have so much peppermint tea to go through. I have so much summer tea that I haven't finished. Not that peppermint tea is necessarily summer tea, but it goes really well cold. Not like all teas work very well when they're cold, but peppermint tea was good. I think I just made too much barley tea instead, but I still have so much barley tea left over. No more licorice? I still have licorice. I still have so much licorice. I actually have like... No! Okay. With... I'll get the timer out. I've got the timer out. No. The watering me is a part of it. And if you feel any better, I'll water you. I'll water you. There you go. Hey back. Okay. Starting equipment. Mm-hmm. Yes, licorice. I still have like an entire box, an old box of licorice tea, and then I have the more modern licorice tea. I've been told that they taste the same. I swear the older box tastes worse, like stronger, more licorice. And I have become inured to the new tea. It does not bother me anymore. I still don't think I'm going to be eating like actual licorice though. Mm. I like it in like very, very, very few things. It's also the same taste as anise. Oh, I think star anise as well. Like star anise is an anise, and that's used in some specific meals. You could taste it. Like, I swear that there's some Chinese food that uses it fairly heavily, and you can taste it. I think it's also a part of five spice powder. It's competing with five other things. Mm. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Short sword, leather, armor, quiver. I want to say remove. Did you look up that word? Or like do you just see that word somewhere on this page? Mm. Okay, so multi-classing. The you only get a these tools and one skill of your choice in multi-classing and light armor training. So it sounds like you're mostly better off starting as a rogue and then moving to something else rather than multi-classing into rogue. Also, actually, I should do this just in case I do mess up. I should do this just in case. Okay, class features. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Expertise and two skill prompts. Yep, yep. With suggested options. Subtle attack. Okay, this is the thing that I heard a lot of people complaining about, sneak attack being nerfed. Once on each of your turns, when you take the attack action, you can deal extra damage to one creature you hit with an attack roll if you're attacking with a finesse weapon or a ranged weapon, and if at least one of the following requirements is met. You have advantage. Um, you don't have disadvantage, and you have an ally that is not incapacitated within 5 feet of the target. Huh. Just more so defining the value of the sneak attack. I don't know if they did that before. Let's take a look. Or if it was simply follow the chart, which it has effectively, yeah, it has probably effectively the same meaning, just demystifies it a little bit. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I think they just demystified how it is, which you could do if you just looked at the numbers. Yeah, games 100% evolve, and this is the 5.5 we're talking about, probably, as opposed to making a full 6.0. Yeah, no, they've definitely so what they did in the past and what they continue to do is before they publish things in a book, usually, they will publish a version of it, a pre-release version of it in Unearthed Arcana that is meant for playtesting so people can basically find the loopholes that the designers and playtesters internally did not see. And it has killed some things. It has killed some things. But they don't catch everything. So you'll definitely hear about someone preferring like the UA version of this rather than necessarily the formal published version of it. I did not say the word. As far as I know, I did not say the word. So yeah. it's definitely something that you can hear about. Also with I want to say it used to be a little easier depending on how you played. Um, if you ever heard of Adventurers League, Adventurers League is basically a way to play D&D where you can move with your character in between different tables theoretically. So you're supposed to be able to say start as level 1 at one DM's table in the Adventurers League system if it's an official Adventurers League table. Uh, and let's say you level up to like 10 or something, but then you have to move to a different location. You can take that character and everything that they've earned that has been tallied up officially. You can move to your new location to find a new Adventurers League table and still use that same character, theoretically. Ah. And it's also meant to be a bit of an introductory way of learning D&D. I've heard of people doing that, starting an Adventurers League table because it is so drop-in and it's played in public places usually. Well, I say usually, but I would I think cons don't really count exactly as public, but they're still kind of public. You could play it at a con, things like that, and bring existing characters there. And they had a specific rule set for building characters according to AL that was supposed to be somewhat balanced. I say somewhat balanced because there were some issues with it still. But initially, the Adventurers League way of building a character that I knew of was you were allowed to build a character with Player's Handbook plus 1 extra book. So if you wanted a class from Xanathars, you could not pick a race except from the Player's Handbook because Xanathars, I do not believe, came with any races, just classes. So it was an interesting way of making balance happen because the DM did not have to worry about, say, the balance between grabbing something from a feat from Strixhaven or a background from Strixhaven combined with a race from it's not even in here anymore. The one that's gone. One of the ones that got eaten. You don't have to worry about a class that was modified from Tasha's or with Tasha's, combined with a race from Volo's Guide, combined with a background from Strixhaven. All you had to worry about was Player's Handbook and one of those books. That was all it was balanced around. And then they got rid of that. And now you're able to choose many more options when building your character, but they have different sorts of limitations. But part of that was also with the introduction of pulling out, like reprinting the Kobold and stuff like that. Because like old Kobold was kind of broken. Old Kobold was broken. Between releases, though, between releases of various editions, like full editions, it's hard to say because they change up quite a bit between editions. But I want to say, if you've looked, Puente, at the 5.5 Ranger, we just covered it, and the 5e Ranger is quite different. It is very different. So before your Ranger had a lot of ribbon abilities that dealt with the exploration pillar of the game. Like there are 3 pillars, I believe. Exploration, combat, and social, roughly. And so Ranger was much more built around exploration, except a lot of people don't really interact with exploration much. And what Ranger did was basically completely smooth over the exploration pillar. So it was a bit of a strange class in that regard compared to the others. So New Ranger 5.5 is much more focused on combat, honestly, giving them combat abilities. they're around people, even if the people don't really see you. I, I'm missing what that was a reference to. My mind blanked. I've been thinking about D&D too hard. Not even like really too hard, just about the older interactions of things. But mm, there's all I'm saying. This looks like a lot of books to deal with, but 3.5 had so many more books to balance around. So many more books. And it was kind of a monster. And also, I think 3.5 wasn't around for as long as 5e has been. They've been pacing out the books here. And yet they've still been republishing things with revisions. Like Treasury of Dragons has a reprinted Dragonborn. God, Tasha's has. Where's Tasha's? Where's Tasha's? Tasha's. I swear I was just looking at it. Hello, Spelljammer, Mordenkainen. Handbook. It's right up here, right next to Xanathar's. Jeez. I wish those were in a different order, I guess. So, like a published Artificer, which I think is slightly different from the Eberron release, which is slightly different from the UA release that happened all those years ago. But yeah, okay, there's no races involved in this one. No ancestry, whatever the new word is. They did just publish one that had new updated races. Did they? Is it Monsters of the Universe? I don't think so. Just real quick check. Okay. Yeah, no, I guess they did update them here. Just a real quick check. Does this have? Okay, it does. A part of this may also be a lot of the older rules might be a little frail. Since it used to be like PHB +1, so to speak. Books like Mordenkainen, where all the races are together. I guess it doesn't make it any much different because it's not like you can pick more than one race. It's not like you can pick more than one race. It's just that there were some books that would mix together races and subclasses together. Or in the case of Eberron, it added an entire new class. But then again, those things were all built to be worked together. Okay, let me take a look at the kobold from Mordenkainen's. Mordenkainen's is so small, 30 feet. Yeah, they got rid of the pack tactics and gave them Draconic Cry and Kobold Legacy and a bit of sorcery too. And they got rid of the dark vision issue. And they simply have like standard dark vision as opposed to before where it was bright light issues. I wonder if Drow still have that issue actually. I don't see Drow in the fantastical races list here. So I wonder if they just simply do. Yeah, being the only human or being the only person who can't see in the dark must suck. I've played my share of races or like characters who cannot innately see in the dark. But in that case, always come prepared with light. Always come prepared with light. And even creatures that live in darkness will probably want some sorts of lights. Because unless they're capable of perfectly seeing in the dark, they're still at a disadvantage if they're attacking in the dark. Yeah. I think Combat can be fine if it's more than 4, as long as everyone knows exactly what they're doing, if they are familiar with their character sheet, their abilities. But yeah, I would say like 4 or 5 is a really sweet number for players. Like 3 places a lot more emphasis on the characters and the players. 4 is good balance. 5 ends up potentially with someone left out if people pair up. But it allows a lot more flexibility too. I guess it's more of like 3 has a stronger character focus, 4 balanced, 5 is like grander story balance as well, generally. Torchlight aesthetic. The light spell. The light spell. Don't leave home without it if you're a spellcaster that's a human or a halfling, because I think those are the only races now that can't see in the dark, because I think Dragonborn got it too. Let me check, actually. We have the character origin still up. So, like, we're going up, we're going up. We have races. We have human, they cannot see in the dark. Dragonborn, draconic ancestry. They have dark vision now. Elves have dark vision because fuck you, that's why. Halflings do not have dark vision. Orcs have dark vision. Tieflings have dark vision. And was I missing one? I feel like I missed one. I missed the gnome. I missed gnome because they were just kind of like shoved in here. Gnomes have dark vision. Dwarves have dark vision. And Ardlings have no dark vision. So yeah, they swapped a little bit there. But Ardlings can also theoretically have light, so. Trying to light a torch, bring a lantern. Bring a lantern. And also, like, did you absolutely fail it? Like, something like that kind of sucks. Unless you have, like, a negative modifier or no modifier. I had a roll, I had a negative modifier for perception. I rolled a 1 on a check for a total of 0. So, like, yes, having a failure at that, like, backward setting failure, I will accept, because there's no literally a 0. Literally a 0 versus like, I rolled a 1, I have a plus like 5 or something. That shouldn't come up as a failure. I don't like that about the new system. The new system has it so that even on skill checks, like nat 1s are failure, and that really fucking sucks. Like, I shouldn't be failing. If I have expertise in something, I should not be capable of failing at that thing, essentially. I want to say the gnomes are gnomes. If hopefully it's an artificer, maybe they'll be able to give you like special glasses or something. The dragonborn can just, I want to say, light up something on their own, I would imagine. No, I don't think that there'd be cozy campfire vibes in goblin caves. Goblin caves are not. Okay, I guess it depends on what kind of goblin you have, but like typically no. And I don't usually think that you want to have like a campfire in a cave, because unless you have it near like the entrance of a cave, it feels like a bad idea to have a fire in an enclosed area like that, you know? Like smoke inhalation. That's gonna kill you eventually. It's gonna kill you. Okay, where was it? It was in here, isn't it? Inspiration, grapple, critical hits, d20 test. So, yeah, the fact that you have expertise in something, you are really good at stealthing, and you roll a 1. Normally it would be like a +10, but no, it's an automatic failure. Like, at least have a little star or something that, like, if you have expertise in this skill, you can't fail. Like, come on. Sogs. Leave kills if there's a skill issue. If you roll too poorly on it. I think that's more of a area modifier than anything else. Rather than a lighting the fire skill. Depending, I guess, on how big the cave is, like maybe placing location, if you consider that as part of the skill of lighting a fire. I guess a survival check. If you fail a survival check badly enough. So I guess don't let the wizard do the survival check for setting camp, pretty much. Just, you know what? The wizard shouldn't even be doing that. They should be tiny hutting it. Then everything will be fine. The safety of the tiny hut. I wonder if they're going to change tiny hut. Tiny hut's not in here, is it? Tiny hut? No, tiny hut. Wait. Okay, it is. And they haven't adjusted it yet. Excellent. Excellent. Tiny hut, I should probably explain. It's a spell that makes a barrier around you, and potentially, depending on how your DM roll, how your DM goes, it might also go underneath the ground that you're on, like a sphere, essentially. And you can fit, I think, up to 5 or 6 regular, like medium-sized creatures in it, and you can see out of it. You cannot see into it. You can, I believe, theoretically shoot out of it, but you cannot shoot into it. And I also believe that the person who casts it can't leave it. You have to like cast it and be inside of it. Everyone else you can designate being able to come in or out at will. And it's a great little barrier for camping in the middle of hostile territory, except for the fact that they can just kind of wait around outside the edges of camp, because there's now this huge dark bubble in the middle of your dungeon or whatever. So it's really what's the phrase? It's a very distinct look. It's a very obvious thing sticking out. But hey, you still got your long rest, right? You're prepared to deal with whatever's outside, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, tiny hut. It it's very good. But don't try and cheese it too much. Otherwise your enemies are just gonna set up traps all around the outside. And you're not really gonna be able to do anything about it until you pop the bubble and leave. And then you're surrounded by traps. But at least you have time to think about it. Oh, I should also specify that this can be ritual cast. I believe it's a 10-minute plus 1 action ritual cast time. Or maybe 11 minutes. It's not meant to be set up instantaneously. And it's not concentration, I believe. And it lasts for 8 hours, which is how long you need for a long rest. So, free safety spell. I could be wrong about a few of the details, but I'm very certain that it's ritual and 8 hours. I haven't abused the spell, not at all. Okay, sneak attack. It was sneak attack. Gonna hop back here to the rogue class. Hop back to rogue. Come on, do it. So Vanessa ranged. Okay, same issue. And before it was once per turn as opposed to only on your turn. So before you could theoretically get... this is actually something that I've also taken advantage of. So previously you could do it usually just on your turn and also as a reaction, because reactions don't happen on your turn. And theoretically also there are a few abilities that allow others to have you make an attack on their behalf, like a battle master ability that allows you to designate someone else to attack. So theoretically, you could get your sneak attack on that. But with this way of writing it, it's no longer an option. No longer an option. So that's the nerf. That is the nerf. I want to say it's not very often that people get reactions for sneak attack. I want to say a lot of rogues are ranged, and getting an attack of opportunity with range, I think, is usually made at a disadvantage, or you're simply not allowed to do it. I'm trying to remember, like, if you can even make an attack with a ranged weapon in melee as an attack of opportunity. I feel like that might be not allowed. However, if you are a swashbuckler or something like that who focuses on melee, I could see that sort of rogue using their reaction sneak attack a lot. So this would hurt. Let me check. You know what? I'll wait on that. Thieves can't. Let's see. Thieves can't. I want to say it's cool that, oh, you get another language. Okay, so it's not just Thieves Can't. Because I want to say, I feel like Thieves Can't isn't used very heavily. Because, like, you're the only one who can know it in the group, the rogue. But at the same time, the only other people who are going to know it are rogues or other criminal NPCs, up to DM choice. Quick thinking. I don't think this has changed. Bonus action. Actions. Extremely useful. Highly useful. Rogue subclass. So, I only describe the thief. So I wonder how long they're going to actually be putting this stuff out for. I'm wondering if it's going to be for... So we have... Sorry, because they talk about, like, they're going to be having other subclasses in future in Ars Arcana. So, like, if they have... Next month be mages, month after that. Okay, so October, mages. November, priests. December, warriors. And after that, what are they going to cover? What are they going to cover? Are they going to be delving more into the subclasses that are going to be available in the new year? Or... I guess, just thinking about it, like, there's not a whole lot of reprinting of the spells, seemingly. So... I wonder if they'll just have 8-ish months, maybe less, of subclasses. Like updating the PHB subclasses. Maybe they might cut it down even. So maybe in my March they'll have it together. Maybe. But maybe that's just, I don't want to say like hopeful thinking, because I honestly don't know if the groups that I play with, if they're going to update to 5.5, because there's always that kind of, I don't want to say threat, but like, you don't have to update just because everything else is updating. You can continue playing the previous version as long as you can find people who want to play it. And with the amount of changes, who knows? Who knows what the popular opinion is going to be in a few more months once everything is out. Maybe people will learn to like it. Okay, rogue subclass. Feat. Uncanny dodge. And they hit you with an attack roll, reaction to have it. That is the same as the previous uncanny dodge, right? Not the same. When an attacker that you can see hits you with an attack, that is not the same as hits you with an attack roll. I'm just going to double check really quickly, but I'm pretty certain they just kind of nerfed that as well, because before it would be, you could also theoretically use it with a saving throw type thing with the way it was written. Now I feel bad for the rogue. Now I feel bad for the rogue. Like, okay, I can see more of issues. Da, 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 da. Unless they didn't actually describe it in here. Let me check. I'm gonna open up a new tab for this. Or rather, I'm going to reuse this tab. Water. Why would I feel bad for Rogue? My tea is gone. Um because it can be tough to be a rogue. It can be very tough to be a rogue. I've played rogue before, and if you miss as a rogue with your one attack, like, oh, that's it. Oh, I hit the mic. That's it. That's your turn. Congrats. For the most part, versus the others where they have multiple attacks. You have a lot of power behind that one attack, but it's really just the will of the dice. Actual skill issue with with rolling the dice. Sometimes they just don't play nice with you for that day. They just don't play nice. Okay. I'm going to look back here in this one. I'm going to keep this open so I can look for rules without losing my spot. Okay. Okay. So, Player's Handbook has the rules for an attack roll. So I just want to like really quickly double check with their interpretation of like a saving throw does not make an attack roll, does it? Because you're forcing it. It's, I don't want to say backwards, but it's not exactly the same. Making an attack. Making an attack. Okay, attack rolls. Yep, okay. Yep. Attack rolls are exactly as I thought. I just wanted to double check. But yeah, so now you can no longer use your uncanny dodge against saving throws, where before that would work. This wording is open enough that it would work for a saving throw. This one is not. It is not. That sucks. Great, more expertise. Excellent. ASI, feat of your choice. There's something that I've heard of when it comes to like running games, and this might be more like on an individual game level, like player level. The concept of not nerfing characters, but raising everyone up to the same level. And so maybe that's partially why this feels kind of bad for the rogue, because they rose Ranger up at the same time they brought Rogue down with their choices so far. Or at least that's what it feels like. I've played Bard a couple times. I don't know if I can make that sort of judgment on that. Nimbly dodge out of the way of certain dangers. Dex saving throw to take half. Can't use it if you're incapacitated. I'm pretty sure evasion has not changed. It does not look like it. Oh, actually, there is something that they've changed. So here you'll notice that there's nothing about being incapacitated. Or rather, it's not spelled out. It might be a case of if you follow the rules for incapacitated, it probably says something like you automatically fail dex and blah 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 saving throws. And here they're just spelling it out that like, yo, this does not override incapacitated, this ability. So it might just depend on how a DM layers the rules. But they just spell it out here that this is how it should be layered. I'm fine with that. Also, evasion incapacitated feels weird. I feel like I may have seen this in play once before. Hmm. This particular interaction, like evading while incapacitated. Because we did not necessarily look up the rules for incapacitated, or the DM just allowed it because class feature versus general ruling. Feat. Subclass, reliable talents. So, I don't think a reliable talent has changed either. Let me move this over. That's 11th versus 10th. No, 11th and 11th. Ability check with a skill or tool prof. That lets you add a prof bonus. So they opened it up a little bit. But it's also a little different wording. I feel like the interaction has changed a bit here with that. Like they've cut off some more unusual interactions that may happen with multi-classing. Whenever you make an ability check that lets you add your proficiency bonus is different than saying an ability check that uses one of your skill or tool proficiencies. Because there's the bar that allows you to add half as jack of all trades, which I think would qualify under like being able to add a proficiency bonus. I could be wrong there, but I don't. It obviously doesn't count as a proper proficiency. But that would be up to exact wording yet again. But it also allows you to deal with the tool ones, so. Or rather, it more clearly outlines that you can use it for a tool proficiency. I want to say tool proficiencies don't always feel the most clear cut in the game. They feel a bit strange. Not fully thought out. And not often used, honestly. When was the last time you saw someone actually do any cobbling in game? Do people even remember what a cobbler is? I probably just mostly think about, yes, the chef. The chef's tools proficiencies, yes. Or thieves' tools, of course, because that has direct impact on ye old dungeon delving. Woodcarvers versus carpenters. Not very common. Okay, so 13th is where it gets a little different, right? Yeah, because blind sense is gone. And so we have subtle strikes. So advantage on any attack roll that targets a creature that is within. So that's good for the rogue. And this also ties in a bit to one of the things from the character origins where you had something that people pointed out. It was a feat, I believe. Where are the feats? Where are the feats? Give me feats. Give me feats. Position. Brawler. Lucky. Skilled. Alert. Okay, it was alert. You can swap your initiative to have someone else go first, so that the rogue could get someone in place for them. That was the big concern. Like, the rogue often gets to go first, but they don't necessarily want to because they're not going to get their sneak attack. But if they pick up alert, they can get their sneak attack, more likely than not, if they get their fighter in the front real quick. And then being able to get advantage on top of that. And also that clears up a little bit of sneak attack for them in the case of... Let me check. Sneak attack. Like, if for some reason you have disadvantage on the attack roll, but your allies within 5 feet, because of the 5 feet thing, you get the advantage. And that means you still qualify for sneak attack, despite the disadvantage. So it averages, actually, no, that would just average out to nothing. That would average out to nothing. Never mind. That sucks. Okay. Hopefully that doesn't happen, though. But still, being able to have advantage without having to spend anything else extra on it is good. Slippery Minds. Profit, Wisdom, and Charisma. Is that what they got before? They only got Wisdom. They only got Wisdom before. That's quite the bump to get 2 proficiency in saving throws. That's 15th. It's quite high. I want to say, in my experience, all these higher levels are really theoretical. I haven't personally gotten to play up that high. Or rather, I think I played somewhere between... I played like up to 13th or 14th, starting at 3rd or 4th. But after that, I think I may have played a level 16 one-shot once. You're so evasive that attackers rarely gain the upper hand against you. No attack roll has advantage against you while you aren't incapacitated. Is that matching elusive? Yes, it is. Okay. And Stroke of Luck. If you fail D20 test, you can turn the roll into a 20, and it returns on a short or a long rest. Uncanny Knack, succeeding when you need to. Again, short or long rest. If you miss, you can turn it into a hit, and you can auto-succeed, essentially. So this is actually way better in a way, simply because D20 test, again, includes attack rolls. So you can automatically turn it into a crit at 18th. Auto crit once a battle. And the fact that you know... Well, actually, I suppose it depends on, like, order of declaration when it comes to this. Because you have to fail it first in order to turn it into a crit. And, like, if you want to... I guess if it's something that you already started piling... If you started making a supernova with it, and the supernova failed, then you could turn it into a crit. That would actually be a really weird build. Like, trying to build a supernova in terms of power that has a lower chance of success at 18th level just so you can turn it into a success later. A guaranteed, like, crit, I should say, instead of a regular success. Is that even... Is that even a good idea? Is that even a good idea? Like, imagine building a supernova and then, like, trying to shoot it blind so you have disadvantage. No, but if you have the disadvantage, you won't be able to get sneak attack. Never mind. So you have to, like, then build a disadvantage, or build negative modifiers to it that would not necessarily include disadvantage to wipe out the sneak attack. Hmm. 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 And then you get Epic Boon of Undetectability feats, or another Epic Boon of your choice. Okay. Thief. The Thief is classic. Classic rogue. The Burglar. Okay, Fast Hands is pretty standard, isn't it? Fast Hands, second story work. Supreme Sneak. Use Magic Device. And Thief's Reflexes. Okay. I wonder if this is going to be exactly the same. Bonus action on your Cunning action to search or Sleight of Hand. Hmm, that's different. But then again, they added the search action. And also the whole use an object action bonus is a bit different. Because I remember that there was a whole thing with, I believe, basically the whole thing about using potions. Usually use an object as an action, and I guess it's homebrewed that using a potion or something like that is considered a bonus action instead, which kind of cuts into the thief here, their ability. Which is one of the reasons why I wasn't a fan of that particular like homebrew rule. Let's see. But that is completely avoided here because it's no longer a part of it. Second story work. Climb speed equal to speed. And jump distance. Dex check instead of strength for jump. I've seen that. I've seen that come up for other classes too. Like, why should a monk still be relying on strength for their jump? Because they gave that ability to the thief instead. They gave that ability to the thief instead. And so the difference between climbing no longer costing you extra movement and having a climb speed, which I think is effectively the same. Supreme Sneak, advantage on stealth checks when you're not in medium or heavy armor, which is a little different here. Advantage on a dex check if you move no more than half your speed on the same turn. So instead of slowing people down, it's, I want to say a thief by default can't or doesn't have proficiency to wear medium or heavy armor, so auto advantage all the time for sneaking versus this. Where I guess there might also be the question of like half your speed, so half your default speed, because then you have the issue of like, so you can't use your dash bonus action to do anything else. Kind of sucks. So I guess that's kind of a buff. Then use magic device. Treasure hunting. 4 magic items at once. Okay. It's actually pretty good. It's really good. Although, I'm not familiar with artificers, so maybe they also have something similar. Normally the limit is 3. And you have to make some hard, depending on the game that you play, whether you get a lot of magic items to choose from, this could be really good because, like in the last game I played, I actually did have to make choices as to what would I attune and what would I stop attuning, what would I give to NPCs. So having an extra slot is excellent, but I think in other campaigns it may not come up a whole lot, depending on how frequent magic items are. But I feel like in a lot of 5e campaigns, magic items are given out like candy. It's like Halloween in a dungeon. Whenever you use a magic item property that expends charges. Also, I guess they have to be, sorry, just going back to the attunement. They have to be magic items that require attunement for that to even come up. Which, not every magic item requires attunement. Not everyone does. And being able to save charges. That I don't know if that kind of foresight is usually needed in shorter campaigns that I think are more popular. In a longer campaign, I could see that being an issue. But that just, is there more? No. Just missing out on the you can use things even when they're not intended for you. That's a bit sad to see that it's been completely stripped from Use Magic Device here, because that was something that was, I want to say, Use Magic Device used to be a skill in 3.5, and I think that rogues were one of the few that could actually have that skill, if not the only one. I don't think they were the only one, but I think they were one of like two, maybe three at most. And just looking at this being completely stripped, it had the same sort of ability in 3.5, or a very similar ability, except you had to roll on it whether or not you were able to use it. But you could ignore a whole lot of requirements. You could ignore a whole lot of requirements. You could also ignore alignment ones, I believe, at the same time, because that was a bigger issue. Like, you can't use a good object if you're an evil character. Capital E, evil. And now it's completely gone. So instead, we have this, and then it also tacks on the scrolls section. And this is something else that may or may not come up in games. It might be a homebrew thing, whether or not non-casters can use spells. By default, there's a difference between a scroll and a spell scroll. A spell scroll normally is only able to be cast by someone who can cast that spell, which is quite limiting. Or rather, it has to be on your spell list. Like the grander spell list, not your individual spell list in the terms of like wizards. But some people will rule that like anyone can attempt to use a spell scroll, like may or may not succeed. So you can do the whole Goblin Slayer, like a fighter reading out a scroll of like create huge amounts of water. There's also just a general scroll, of which I believe there's only like one published version, or like one published scroll. And anyone can use a scroll. A scroll. I think it's some sort of abjuration spell of some sort. Okay, posture check. I also took the second to check to see. For some reason, I thought I had let the cat back in and that he was in his guest chair, but he is not. So, spell scroll. So you can use cantrips or first level spells, or higher level if you can meet a check. Versus being able to use magic items regardless of class race or level requirements. just thinking how difficult it would have been with the previous writing for a thief to cast higher level spells from a scroll. I think that the rules for scrolls were in the general spells area and not necessarily like tied to wizards. Thief's reflexes. A second bonus action on your turn, provided it is the bonus action from cunning action. You can use this feature on a number of turns equal to your prof bonus. Okay. This is making me wonder about any kind of rewrites for casting, because a second bonus action. Although, I suppose it doesn't really matter. Just thinking again of like interactions with multiclassing here. I'm probably thinking a bit small with all this all as well. So like your first bonus action can be whatever. Your second bonus action has to be a cunning action though, so I guess that cuts out any fun things from the whole like casting 2 bonus action spells on the same turn, because the previous limitation being you cannot cast bonus action spell and action spell. Yeah, they cut that out. Okay. And that is these reflexes, and that's 14th versus 17th. 2 turns during the first round in any combat, which was unlimited as opposed to prof bonus amount of times. Just thinking, like, what if you somehow rolled like a 6? Yeah, that would be a little strange. Like, oh, I have a +5 on my initiative, and I got a 1. So I have an initiative of 6, and I have an initiative of -6. You would still end up taking 2 turns in a row then, I would imagine. Unless other people were just as unlucky as you were. Yeah, I can see over here, like, use an object as a bonus action being stolen from them. Stolen. But I haven't actually looked at what the search action is really capable of. Okay, and then they have feats. Bonus feats. So you can continue adding bonus feats. But it's just kind of, who's going to continue playing at that point? Above that much XP, that's crazy. And I want to say, how often do people actually play with non-milestone? Milestone is the popular way of playing, isn't it? The popular way of leveling, it feels like. Level, prereq, repeatable. Feat descriptions. ASI. Increase 1 by 2 or 2 by 1. Cannot increase above 20. Standard. Ye old ASI. Okay, actor. 4th level. They did include feats previously, right? They included... Check. Yeah, 1st level feats. So, yeah, having levels to feats feels a little strange. So... Charisma increase. Advantage on charisma checks. Mimic sounds. And placing a limit on how long your mimicry is good for. And a prereq of charisma. Let me really quick check that against what is currently available for this, because I do know actor is an existing feat that they're updating. And I don't, yeah, it didn't have a charisma minimum before. Yeah, so they're adding prereqs in terms of level and scores. Hmm. 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 It's a bit more limiting then. I want to say you probably shouldn't be picking it up if you don't have good charisma because of the fact that it's a charisma heavy feat, but it's still limiting. It's still limiting. Okay, athlete, which again did not have a prereq. Increase your strength. Okay, increase one of those things by 1. Climb speed equal to your speed. I think that's new for athlete. And the jumping is a bit different too. And the hop up is also new. Okay, it feels like they completely revamped athlete. Where is I mean, I have athlete up. It's just more so. Athlete used to be the +1 to strength or dex. No con. Okay, so hop up was the same. Climbing not costing you extra movement. So it did have a climb speed. And advantage on the jump action is different from what it used to be. So that's the big change. It used to be that for athlete, you can make a running long jump or a running high jump after moving only 5 feet on foot rather than 10 feet. Okay, versus advantage. I want to say, were people running it usually as like a ability check advantage thing? Because I thought jumping was mostly like you make it or you don't. Like there's even calculators. Not that it's complicated math. It's just it's a little easier to put in for some things. Like yes, my character has a strength of this, and they do in fact get the 10-foot lead in. So this is how far they can jump. And if you put in their height, it can also tell you about like how high they can jump. Considering I guess someone who's 5 foot can't jump quite as high as someone with the same strength who's 7 feet tall. But it's good for quick things if you have a lot of characters making a jump, just being able to input that. And again, like it was either you can make 20 feet or you can't. I don't remember ability checks being a part of the equation there. Charger still exists. Prereq with any martial weapon. Again, it didn't have prereqs for anything. Okay, ASI, improved dash. They're also the fact that they're kind of naming content in here. Like, I want to say there were definitely cases where there are multiple parts to a feat, but they're actually independently naming them instead of just bullet pointing them. So, adding extra movement on your dash is new. It didn't give you that before. Let's see, is there anything else that stands out? Crossbow expert, dual wielder, durable. Is there anything in here that's new? Okay, epic boons. Epic boons are new. And they have prereqs of groupings. Ah, okay. Combat prowess? So. You can only... Aha, so in 4E they actually had abilities that were per encounter, I believe. So this is kind of how they're working around that here. You can only use it once every time you roll initiative. I think... I guess by 20th level, the DM should really know what they're doing. I could think at some lower levels with DMs, this might be a little tricky because you might... Keeping the players in initiative or not might be a little tricky. Or like asking them to a bit slow down a bit and explore square by square versus in huge chunks, depending on the size of your dungeon. Like, I think normally if there's nothing that's threatening, initiative is gone. But if I feel like having that reload, if there's even like a 6 second break in fighting in that case, feels a bit easy for the expert or warrior. A Misty Step without expending a spell slot. So that just makes it seem that feels like a very slight warlock tip, honestly. It feels like a slight warlock tip. I wonder if they've just been they got a few things like that in here. Like free spell. Free spell. And again, once per initiative, or short rest or long rest. Hmm. I guess the second part makes it make a bit more sense in terms of games where there might not be quite so much combat. Because otherwise, you might never recharge it. Or it might be quite a while between recharges. Which for Misty Step, since it's not a strictly combat only spell, I could see that being an issue. Versus the combat prowess, which is entirely on combat. Energy resistance. Okay. Being able to, okay, gain resistance. That's quite the large selection, although they don't include force. And you can change the damage type on arrest. That's really good. That's really good. Knowing your enemy and being prepared for that without having to pay any extra costs. I mean, sure, that is your like 20th level feat. I guess that is a cost in and of itself. But again, that's an incredibly flexible choice there. But then again, you're a mage. You should not be being attacked, but it still happens. Mm. I guess that helps make up for having potentially not a great con score. Not like you dropped it, but simply not great. Fortitude. Hit point maximum increase by 40. Ah. And whenever you regain hit points, they don't even specify how. Because normally when you're doing arrest or something, just thinking like in battle and healing equal to your con mod, so another +3 or +4, but no more than once per round. But you can still do it once per round in the case of a healing spell over time. Those do exist, don't they? I think there was one for the druid. I think it may have been one of those ones where it's just a like conga line outside of battle. Unless they've patched that. It's entirely possible they did patch it. Damage you deal always ignores resistance. Okay. Um, that's good. It could be better. That's good though. I suppose the problem then would simply be immunity. And I don't know if there's really anything that can cut through that. Okay, luck was the one for the bard by default. Being able to roll a d10 immediately after you roll d20. So, I kind of wish they spelled it out a little bit more. Like they say immediately after you roll d20. So before you know if it passes or fails, it seems like. But you see what the number is. Okay. Just want to make sure that's That is the correct interpretation of the immediately after you roll a d20. Or rather, that's the intention behind it. Before the announcement is made. Becoming invisible as an action. Expert or mage. I'm a little surprised they didn't give this to the ranger, honestly. Like, invisible, become invisible as an action. Just for fun. But until after you take an action or a reaction. So once you start dashing, for instance, you are no longer invisible. You can't dash. And you can't, I guess you can just kind of stand there. But I can definitely see some mages taking use of that. Invisibly watching. Fearless aim. Range attack against the target. In range and miss. Okay. So that is the rogue. Rogue ability, I think. No, was it rogue ability? One of the other abilities was basically... Yes, it was the rogue. Turn a miss into a hit. Or a miss into a crit, essentially. You can use a bonus action to regain a number of hit points equal to half your maximum. So, wait a second. And there's no prereq. But it's only once a long rest. Oh my god. I love that one. I love this one so much. Basically, bonus action for a huge second wind. Enormous second wind. And then just, as long as you don't botch, you're not going to bleed out on the floor. I love that. I love that. That I want to say, it's not for every campaign, but I could imagine using that one. Skill proficiency. Proficiency in all skills. Oh, okay. Speed increasing by 30 feet. Just slap that on a tabaxi, won't you? Slap it on it. Wait, just like slap it on a tabaxi monk. Monks are a part of it, right? Let me bump it back up to the beginning. Monks are warriors, right? Yeah. You can't be seen or heard by magical any means while you are hidden. Okay. Bonus action, you can take the disengage action, which also ends grappled and restraint conditions on you. That's... But wasn't there someone who could already disengage? Like, can't the rogue already disengage? That feels a little sad then. Let me take a look. The rogue already got to disengage, didn't they? As a bonus action? Or were they... Was that cut from there? Bard, rogue. Dash, yeah, they can already disengage as a bonus action. Like, sure, it ends grapple and restrained, but I don't think that's going to be a problem for most of the rogues because they're going to have... They might have expertise in acrobatics or something that will allow them to leave. Just... out. So yeah. Like, I guess that's good for the other experts. It's just unnecessary for the rogue. At least they didn't suggest it as the rogue one. What did they suggest as the rogue one? What did they suggest for the rogue at 20? Undetectability. Okay. Did we already pass that one? I think we did. We had to have. You can't be seen or heard by any means while you are hidden. Okay. So they have fighting styles as fighting styles are now feats. Interesting. Okay, I'm watered. I am watered. It is the last drop of tea. The very last drop of tea. Okay, there's like one more thing I want to check in here before I call him night. And that is going to be... Just want to double check. Where is it? Where is it? You may only fight with your feet. Wait, Speedster is new. Called a monk. It's called a monk. I want to check Grappler because old Grappler was like such garbage. It was so disappointing. So disappointing. And I'm just wondering if it's any better here. No teabagging? You don't know what my monk is like. Okay, let's go to feats. Real quick. Just thinking like, I don't think I've actually had it. I've not had tea that tastes like feet. I think I've had cheese that tastes like feet though. Okay. I remember Tavern Brawler being like garbage, but Grappler was also kind of shit, which was a shame because I've built too many grapplers. I built too many grapplers. Mm. Okay. And that does have a prereq. Advantage on attack rolls against a creature you're grappling. So you can pin, and then you're both restrained. Toxic? Only the things that she made. Only the things that she made were toxic, but people probably enjoyed them because they were alcoholic toxic. It's not like she was carrying around other poisons. Okay, so they open it to strength or dex. But I wonder if they changed the grappling rules at all. I don't think they did. Didn't they talk about that a little bit in here? Like, isn't there a section on grappling? Grapple. Where is grapple? Okay, grappled condition. Speed is 0. Disadvantage. That. Movable. Escape. Okay. And they don't describe, like, necessarily the grappling process. So assuming it's the same. We had plans by T for 2. There have been a lot of interesting song names in here. And I want to say, this entire category, like, I don't know how to describe this music exactly. But I want to say all the names are just a bit depressing. But then again, I started with like Always Late, Poison Tree, It's Raining Somewhere Else, Watching Old VHS Tapes While I Wait for You. I'm tired of feeling this way. Dreams are only real as long as they last. The only poison she carries is tipped on her sharpened tongue. Was that really the name of a song that passed by, or is that a quote from something? Lo-fi. It's rainy day music. It's rainy day music. I want to say like slightly cold. It's a cold day, but like maybe you have a blanket and you're. I can picture the part of the house I would be watching and listening to this music. I would be there, except for the fact that that's where the cats like to sit. And there's only enough, really, and only enough comfortable room for one. Only really enough comfortable room for one. I wasn't allowed to watch Whose Line as a kid, but I think it's pretty good now. That's another song. Alone in Space. Yeah, yeah, it's depressing girl hours. The quote from Move, October 2022. I want to say there's no way you can make that into a lyric, can you, for one of your songs? Wait a second. Do do they sample some Zelda in there? I could have swore I just heard something. Maybe. Yes. No. Yeah? No, it's not a sound effect more. It's like Lost Woods type of thing, which would make sense with a theme, Alone in Space. It just has a very, yeah, yeah. It's, I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. No, I think it just passed that area. No, and the song's gone. No, 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 no. Go back. It's gonna be quiet. It's pretty short. Okay, I guess it's not. It's just that one section where it goes like da 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 da. It kinda made me think of that, but not quite. There's a tropical depression coming soon. Is there one headed your way? Or is this merely an internal thing? Mm, mm. I'm learning like a tiny bit about music theory, but I'm still pretty like bad with all of it altogether. I used to play a few instruments, but I haven't done it in a very, very, very long time. So, like, I can vaguely read um, some charts, like sheet music, very, very roughly, but I wouldn't be able to, like, if you pointed to a note, I wouldn't be able to sing it. But at least I would know, like, ah, yes, that's a very high note. That's a very low note. Now, thankfully, when you're singing, you don't necessarily need to know that. Just chatting Twitch streamer music. Mm. Yeah. It didn't actually update what the song was, because now it is not Alone in Space. It is Before It's Too Late. Let's skip ahead. Oh, now it's like one behind. What if I do this? I guess it doesn't like it when I try to change it. It's not slopes now, it's Before It's Too Late. Ah, it's so dumb. Okay. It's trying its best here. Now it's caught up. Now it knows what it's listening to. Okay. So my point was grappler here and posture check. So, advantage on attack rolls against a creature grappled by you. Excellent. Same as before. You aren't slowed when you move a creature grappled by you. Oh my god, that's awesome. Fast Rester. I won't say it was a problem. Like always a problem, but it was a bit of a problem. Like, great. I grappled the thing. Even now I'm just super slow and trying to move them. If your intent is to move them around. I suppose it was also more so a problem of I had one instance where I actually multiple instances where I grappled teammates, one of which was to save him from moving himself to avoid a danger because he was pulling some like tabaxi, uh, pausing shit. He was doing some like tabaxi stuff. Cats, you know. So I grappled him willingly. Like he wanted to be grappled. He accepted it, and I was able to, with my monk speed only, like pull him out of danger. And it would have been way easier if I had not been slowed by the fact that I was essentially carrying him out. What if I changed the song too? Nothing. Nothing. I mean, I want to say none of this is going to actually. Now, this is going to show up in the VOD. Zero of it is going to be in the VOD. So it's going to be just a minute or two of dead air and talking about. Like, I guess they can play it on their own. These are all on Spotify. The laws of physics no longer apply to you. I did find over the course of looking through music that there is a song themed around the Overwatch character. I don't remember his name, but the gravity themed one, essentially. What is that melody? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It doesn't quite fit into this grouping, but it's closer than a lot of other things could be. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, Sigma. It's based around Sigma. And it's titled. Sigma is his code name, though, right? It's not his official name, like his birth name. Or not even like birth name, but like. It's not his, I guess, like civilian name. All I know is it's like crazy European. No, it's not Doomfist. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where's that song? The song is called What Is That Melody by Fariha. Gonna, and then it's gonna play a bunch of other stuff after that. I didn't realize when I was first listening to this that about it was about an Overwatch character. It's been so long. But he had a really good theme. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Mm-hmm. It must have been tough writing this just because of that. Like making sure it's it's good enough to stand for this theme. Mm-hmm. It's a it's a good song. And I should have realized, but you can see the image in the corner. Um, that's Sigma's balls, essentially in the image being held. So it's kind of I should have recognized it by that. I should have recognized it by that. Okay. Last thing for Grappler. One arm strike is part of the attack action on your turn. The fact that it's basically a free grapple. This would have made my monk work so much better. Sigma, a single Sigma ball? No, those are two Sigma balls. Two Sigma balls. Okay, character feats, grappler. Yeah, this is way better than pinning. Pinning was just kind of like literally who did that? Literally. Unless you were, I guess, a tank who's trying to make it easier for everyone else to attack the creature, but I think in practicality that never really happens. That never happens because that would require a like many on one fight, one enemy. Sounds like it's singing about jewels, but not family ones. Hmm. I feel like I have other ones that are actually singing about jewels. Actually, I do have other songs I've been listening to that have been singing about jewels, not family jewels. Never fam. Well, I don't want to say never family jewels. But there's a Final Fantasy 14 song. I've been listening to a lot of Final Fantasy 14 music. That is all about the one civilization that is actually obsessed about jewels and literal family jewels because they're ruled by a sultan, or in this case, a sultana. And it's about the dichotomy between, or I guess the intertwining of the concepts of money and death, essentially, because that's the entirety of that town, that city. Like they've got two things going for them. They have a shit ton of money, and they got a whole lot of black mages going around. It's not exactly a happy place. Never singing about family. I don't really know a whole lot of songs that sing about family jewels, to be honest. Like thinking about it, just like uh maybe this isn't even about family jewels, is it? Thinking about like the internet is for porn and stuff like that. That's not about family jewels. Yeah, money and death. A little death. I want to say if we're talking about orgasms, then it's the wrong town because that should be Limsa and not Ul'dah. Limsa is the one for going for fun, so to speak. And also, while you're going for fun, you're likely to be shanked, but neither here nor there. But no, they have a really interesting concept with that entire god. Um, it's actually like a twin god situation. Brothers. One who's in control of commerce, or one is the god of commerce, and the other one is the god of death. And considering how often you have to pay the price to get across, uh, across something, uh, the boundaries for death, life and death, it works well together. Shanking isn't fun. Look, I like my kidneys the way they are. Assuming that they don't have any. Okay, assuming they don't have any kidney stones in them currently, I'd like my kidneys the way they are. Kidney stones are not fun. But yeah, no. Getting shanked is not fun. If you're shanking, I guess that could be fun. I've never shanked anyone, so I couldn't tell you if it's fun or not. Have you shanked someone? Can you tell us if it's fun? Oh, oops. This song is not a part of this. I mean, it's a part of the set, but the set is not for this. That's why I always know what he's thinking. Don't talk until you try it. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. With this, I think I to call it for the night. Let us see who is still up and running now. Who is still up and running? Let's see. Let's see. How long have they been up for? I wish I could see that more easily. I wish I could see that much more easily. Because thanks. Thanks a lot, Rube. Uh Rexy is playing Come On Sword. Let's say hello to her. She's been on for like 4 hours. I hope she's not about to end. I hope she's not about to end. That's always the biggest issue. Yeah. Yeah. The Traxie you can see. Like Traxie's my future sister in terms of like design. Or maybe not design, but like uh artist and rigor. Hopefully. That's raid train won't hurt. That's fair, that's fair. She's an experienced shimmer. She's been doing this for longer than I have. She'll know what to do if something like that happens. But in any case, tomorrow I'm going to be continuing Yomawari Night Alone, which is probably going to be like a really, really horrible idea. Really horrible, but I'm doing it. I'm going to get through it. I may not finish it tomorrow though. If I continue, it'll probably be uh, another Wednesday or Saturday. And Saturday, I'm going to be starting my very first playthrough of Little Misfortune, which is another category of little girl doing really stupid shit in the dark. It seems to be my favorite category of horror stories. So I hope to see you there, and then as you witness me screaming once more. But otherwise, I hope you have a good night. And I will see you later. Thank you again for coming.